To a walk-off single Sunday from Randy Rosarena, talking about that in 30 seconds.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy.
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
A lot to like, a lot to love, and some things to dislike from the Mariners series win over the Twins from the weekend. We're going to start with that, then get into some Seahawks stuff a bit later in the show, because I am live from Seahawks headquarters where OTAs are going to kick off in a couple hours. Curtis Rogers with me back in the studio in Eastlake. Hi, Curtis.
Hi, Stacy. How we doing?
We're good. Okay, so we're going to start.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. And the Mariners, by the way, credit to Mike Lefko for pointing this out. The Mariners keeping now a 9-year streak going of winning on May 31st. So I'm not going to take credit for it per se, you know. But
that would never be like you.
No.
Definitely not.
However, I did tweet at Alex Mayer to kind of include that, see if we can include that in the Mariners stats for their official franchise, just to kind of get something going.
Put it in the stat package that he sends out every day for next year. And
let's get a bobblehead for May 31st.
Exactly.
You guys know what happens. Money's good. Books are open. What are we doing? Okay, let's get to this actual series. It wasn't, we weren't in love with everything, but Curtis, I figured we'd save the stuff we didn't love towards the latter half of this, just to be able to have some fun on a Monday. Let's start with the stuff that we liked. I'm going to go with Julio Rodriguez. Defense, cut number 3.
Here it comes. Swinging, he golfs it into shallow center field. It drops in for a base hit. Wallner hits third, being waved in. Julio's throw is on its way. Play at the plate. Tag applied. Got him at home. A four-seam strike from Julio in straightaway center field. Cuts down the go-ahead run in the top of the 10th inning.
So again, I know that we've been talking. In fact, Bump and I were just talking about this Thursday or Friday, Curtis, about the things that we want to see more from Julio and how pressure is going to be on him and pressure is going to mount as those injuries mount. But I think sometimes we tend to overlook how good he is defensively. He is exceptional.
Oh, and that's a big reason why his WAR is what it is, because offensively his numbers still leaving a little bit to be desired, but his base running, his defense, he is so good at both of those things. And that throw that he made to gun down Wallner on Saturday, essentially saving the game for the Mariners. It was one of those plays, you know what it's like to be in a press setting, in a press box, on a media row. I was in the tunnel getting ready to go out on the field and do the post-game interview if the Mariners were to win. And everybody down there was a few people from Fox 13. There was a couple other people as well. You're not supposed to cheer. Like, that's kind of the decorum that us in the media have. But there are those plays where instead of cheering, you give bug eyes to the person next to you, or you just kind of mouth, wow. That was one of those plays where you don't necessarily want to outright cheer and clap and hoot and holler, but we all looked at each other just kind of like, wow, that was amazing.
Can I just say, one time in the Seahawks press box, I've never cheered, right? I've always followed, I've heard, rumors of not long-lasting folks in media that have certainly been much more enthusiastic about wins or losses, but I've never cheered. However, one time, Bobby Wagner, I think it was an interception. It was at Lumen. I want to say it was against the Vikings, but I'm not entirely sure. But it was just a big play, and I did almost like I'd a single clap, and then I was mortified because I'm always trying to be I'm so professional. So I just went, I got scared to no one. I said it to no one, just around me, in the space around me. Just sorry, I got scared. Bobby Wagner, terrifying human. Okay, anyways, we're keeping it moving. But no, you're right. It was just one of those moments where you couldn't help. I mean, I was watching at home and did the exact same thing. Had the same reaction everyone there did seeing it, and I can't imagine how cool it was. Curtis, I know you have a couple other things that are on your list of liked from the weekend. And yes, we do have things we loved, so this is kind of like a first runner-up.
Sure. And how about the walk-off yesterday? Randy Rosarena coming up big.
1-1 tie, bottom of the ninth inning. The stretch, the 2-1 pitch, swinging a ground
fumble. Up the middle, base hit. The Mariners win it. Randy Arozarena jumps on first base. A walk-off single. Julio scores, and the Mariners win it 2-1 over the Minnesota Twins. Second consecutive walk-off win for the Mariners in this series.
The thing about Randy Arozarena, Stacy, is that we all knew he kind of had a flair for the dramatic based off of his career with the Rays. And
Right.
we're kind of wondering, like, is this going to translate to Seattle? And it feels like it has. It feels like he comes through when the lights are the brightest. And yesterday, the Mariners needing that win in the worst way, scratching and clawing their way to a series victory. That was the toughest series victory of the year by far. Like, it wasn't even close how tough it was to get those 2 wins yesterday. But, I mean, that acquisition of Randy Arozarena last year, I get that he's been kind of cold here in the month of May. He's got the 730 OPS total this season, but the Mariners are a better team with him than they are without him, and they are a team that needs him right now, and the fact that he was able to come through when he did yesterday, save the day, especially after the 9th inning, once again getting away from the Mariners, I think we all can breathe a little bit easier coming into today, knowing that things didn't spiral on them the way that they had throughout most of this homestand so far.
A really good point, too, about, like, how important it is that it's Randy who hasn't had exactly the May that you want, but is someone with the ability to really boost your club. And, earlier this season, he was one of the names that we were talking about when we were talking about the reasons that this offense was starting off hot. It was led by Jorge Polanco and Cal Raleigh, we'll get to him later. But Randy was one of those names of, like, and how cool to have a full season of Randy. And you're right. I mean, this is one isolated example, but, like, against the Nationals, 0 for 11, and those aren't stats that you, like, love seeing. And then you have 3 hits against the Twins, and even though he had an 0 for 5 day on May 31st, it was still a win, so I can stomach that, and I think it's just so important. Sometimes who gets the walk-off matters, and I think who got the walk-off with both of these walk-off wins was kind of part of what we really liked.
Oh, yeah, and gosh, you mentioned Saturday's walk-off, too. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Getting back to Randy, though, looking up at his numbers right now, his late and close game situations from Baseball Reference, he's got an 894 OPS, 3 home runs, 12 runs driven in those at-bats this season. So, yeah, that feels really good. Why save it for late in the game, though, Randy? Do it in the first, 6 innings or so.
I know that Bryce Miller had an inning that was less than stellar, but Curtis, you still liked him having a healthy return.
I did, and it was just good to see him back out there. I was really encouraged by what I saw in the first inning. The velocity was up. It was around 95, 96. It was not the 92, 93 that we'd seen him at. Unfortunately, as the start went along, though, the velocity kind of dipped back down to around 92, 93. So I'm wondering if he's just trying to build that stamina back up after having 3 weeks off. But, again, you just need some stability in that starting rotation right now. And getting a healthy Bryce Miller back, you've got a healthy George Kirby back. Both those guys trying to get their legs underneath them, or in both of their case, their arms underneath them. But I think all in all, it was good progress made. And I think the most encouraging thing that I heard from him, Stacy, is that he was not bothered by anything injury-wise on Saturday. It was just, the Twins' bats getting to him in that second inning. His post-game comments sounded markedly different than what it was the last, couple weeks before he went on the IL. And so that was very encouraging to me, where he didn't sound like a guy who was searching for answers. Like he knew what was going on, and then I was able to get through 4 innings, keep the Mariners in the ballgame.
Let's get to the stuff we loved, because this is the most fun category. So this isn't just things that you were encouraged by. We talked about Julio's defense, right? And kind of remembering how well-rounded he is as a player. And even if you're waiting for him to be on pace for a 30-30, 40-40 season, that defense is still pretty special. You're lucky to have it with an outfield that's missing a starter. So those are the kind of the things we're like. Now we're getting to something we loved. And if I were to ask listeners, hey, what was the thing you loved most from the weekend? I think every single person, Curtis, would have the same answer, and that is your first answer.
Cal Raleigh. 4 home runs this weekend. it was stupid the level of production he had.
Here's the pitch. Swung on, crushed, right field. It's on its way. Goodbye. Cal Raleigh does it again. He is unbelievable. The home run leader in baseball strikes again. Cal Raleigh going deep. We are all living the Cal Raleigh dream. And the Mariners lead 1-0.
Stacy, if I had told you on opening day, which I think was March 27th, that fast forward to the start of June, Cal Raleigh is the major league home run leader at 23. And I mean, take into mind that he's a catcher. Like, this is not a position that normally plays every day. How good do you think things would be going if I had told you that?
Oh, I'd say certainly this team must be in first place. And
they are.
Yeah, I'd probably, honestly, at that point, I'd be like, well, what's Julio doing? What's everyone else doing? Like, are we talking about one guy raking, or is this team
kind of doing their normal thing? But it's one guy, but he's making up for a lot of bats that aren't. But I mean, Cal is so locked in, and I was thinking over the weekend, and I think I texted this to you and Bump after Friday night when he hit the 2 home runs in the series opener. What if Cal had waited to sign his extension into the season? Like, what if he had not signed it until now? You're looking at a price tag that's an extra 50, maybe 100 million.
Jeez,
like the Mariners should be so grateful that they were able to get that extension done when they did, because I mean, this guy has definitely inserted himself into the MVP conversation.
You certainly wish that he was rewarded, and that this team as a whole was rewarded with a win for a game like Friday, where you had that home, at least one of those home runs. But yeah, it's just, was that 2 on Friday?
2 on Friday, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. Yeah.
Unfortunately, not enough. When you allow 12 runs, but that's fine. We'll get to that with our next category. But you're right. What he's doing is absolutely unbelievable. And Jorge Polanco has got to the point that everyone thought he would, and this isn't a knock. You knew that eventually he would cool. You knew that in starting the season with a bit of an injury, maybe that catches up to him and you have to put him on the IL at some point. So this isn't like a widespread disappointment with Jorge Polanco so much as it is you kind of get to a point where you go, okay, this isn't going to last. And I keep thinking that's going to happen with Cal, and then he keeps doing things that shock me. And I never get tired of that feeling. I never get tired of the feeling of thinking, okay, Cal's going to have maybe a down 2 weeks, because that's just baseball and that's just going to happen. And then he'll hit a home run. And like, it's just such a cool feeling to be wrong about something that ends up making you feel pretty good about your club.
God, every time he comes up now, it's must-see TV. I found myself on Saturday when he came up in, I want to say like the 7th or 8th inning. It came right after a pitching change, and I got up from the booth and went to go check on something or whatever. And then at the end of the pitching change break, I was like, oh no, I'm nowhere near the booth. I got to run back. I got to go find my seat, because Cal's going to be up here.
Let's get to stuff we disliked. Unless, did you want to go over anything else from Loved?
Well, Cole Young's debut. It was just from start to finish, you couldn't ask for more from a debut. Gets his first major league hit, then gets the walk-off. I mean, that's what you dream of as a kid. There's no better feeling, I think, than what he was going through on Saturday night. So shout out to him, and shout out to the Mariners for making that move. We've been clamoring for that for a while. So good to see him up with the big league club.
In our email before this show, you and I had the same answer for what we loved, which is a great thing. We also had the same answer for what we hated from this series, and that's a bad thing, and that is the bullpen.
Woof. Yeah.
It's not great.
It's not great.
I only saved us a minute.
It did. Yeah. I'm wondering if it's more maybe the workload that they're undertaking rather than just,
I don't know, man.
The effectiveness. I mean,
I think it's the volatility of a bullpen. You've had a really solid one for what, 2, 3, maybe 4 years now?
Yeah.
And I think just what's catching up to you is that Munoz is still arguably the best, if not certainly one of the best closers, that Brash still has really good stuff. And you've still got some guys that you like, maybe Spire in certain situations, but that overall your bullpen just has a ton of question marks. Hi, welcome to the average baseball team.
I hate this. I hate having an average bullpen.
I enjoyed not being one of the many teams around baseball that face questions and uncertainties around their bullpen for a little while, but I just think that's not going to be the case.
Well, and what was the most heartbreaking about the bullpen struggles is that the guy that has been the most reliable, not just in your bullpen, but across Major League Baseball this season, Andres Munoz blew 2 saves and gave up his first runs of the year. And I think the 3-run blown save was far more shocking than the one on Sunday with just the 1 run allowed, because you hand Andres Munoz a 3-run lead, that game is over, or it should be over.
With it 1.2 outs and only a runner on first.
Right. You had that game in hand and gacked it away on Friday. That was really tough to see. But I will say, even with the bullpen struggles, Saturday, Colin Snyder rebounding from his outing against the Nationals that he had on Thursday, that was encouraging to see. He went 2 innings, didn't give up a run in that outing, and entered in the exact same scenario he entered against the Nationals back on Thursday to start the 10th inning. You kind of wonder, are we going to see a repeat of what we saw a couple nights ago? But no, he was able to work his way through. Got the big help from Julio's arm, getting the runner going home. But shout out to him for being able to put Thursday in the past and really be a big contributor to what we saw on Saturday.
Coming up in less than 15 minutes, a very weird Mariners stat before we get to it. Right now, it's time for Headline Rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline Rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, it's going to be the Pacers and Thunder in the NBA Finals, with Oklahoma City opening as the 7th biggest favorite ever, according to Las Vegas. What's the real headline?
The NBA will get a first-time champ no matter what.
That's right. No 2-time champ.
Nope. Honestly, I think only the NBA, maybe the NBA might formally try to say that as part of their presumably award ceremony that they're eventually going to have, because I'm favoring OKC as well as everyone else. But I think that fans see it as their first time.
Yeah, I don't think anybody who would consider themselves a ball knower would consider Oklahoma City a previous champion. I know the NBA, every team that has won a championship wears this little gold patch on their back collar. Oklahoma City does not wear one, so I think that's a good thing. I'm just trying to prepare myself for what kind of feels inevitable here. I'm rooting my darndest for the Pacers. Vroom, vroom, as we say.
Yeah.
Us Pacers fans.
Go, Pace, go.
Set the pace, baby.
Set the pace.
Yeah, there we go. And that pace.
Pace of play.
Yeah.
Pace of
Keep
play.
it going, boys. It feels almost inevitable that this will be OKC coming away with the crown, which hate to say, but shout out to Mike Lefko, the only Pacers fan I know. I think that's the only Pacers fan pretty much everybody in our listening audience knows.
I think it's the only one that exists. It's just Mike Lefko against a wall of OKC fans. What's so interesting is juxtaposing what we're going to see in the NBA Finals with what we're going to see in the Stanley Cup Finals, where you have 2 repeat teams, 2 teams, the exact same finals face-off from last season, once again meeting this year with the Panthers, a 3rd-time visit looking for back-to-back championships.
Yeah,
it's more of a what we've already seen before in
right.
the NHL versus in NBA's finals this year. It's someone's winning for the first time.
Well, and you get kind of the juggernaut vibes, too, in the Stanley Cup Finals. You mentioned the 3-time Eastern Conference champion Florida Panthers, and then Connor McDavid, who won playoff MVP in a losing effort last year.
One of 6 players ever.
I remember watching that ceremony, and he didn't want the trophy. He wanted the cup, and
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, that would be such a hollow feeling, winning playoff MVP in a losing effort. But I'm excited for that finals. We'll have John Buccigross coming up at 1:30 today to talk some puck, talk some Kraken off season. That'll be fun.
What's next?
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, the Mariners this morning announced they will retire Randy Johnson's number 51 jersey in a 2026 ceremony. What's the real headline?
With Ichiro's 51 getting retired this summer, I think it's fair to say that number will be hella extremely out of rotation.
Yeah,
as Bump would say.
No one's ever wearing 51 in a Mariners
one's touched
uniform. Could you imagine like Colt Emerson or like Laz Montez coming
You have
up?
Abdul Carter calling.
Yeah,
Hey.
be like, can I wear 51?
I've tried
No.
with 56.
You've got 2
I've
people
tried
to
with
call.
a couple other numbers. I'm just checking to see what might be available anywhere from any team.
You've got
in
2
any
people
league.
to call now, which is pretty rare. I think Alex Mayer, of course it's Alex Mayer. Who
Of
else would it be? He
That
tabulated every team that has the same number retired by 2 people. I think it's only like 5 or 6 teams that have that distinction. It looks to me like the Yankees have number 42 retired by Jackie Robinson and Mariano Rivera, which, I mean, that's a pretty good duo. The Cubs number 31 with Fergie Jenkins and Greg Maddux. That's a pretty good duo as well. So, I mean, you've got to be the best of the best to have this happen. And Randy Johnson, I mean, he's one of the forgotten, I think, super duper stars in Seattle sports history. He was so good in a Mariners uniform. Cool to see him get this honor. I think very deserving. And it reminded me, Stacy, I don't know if you've ever viewed the 1995 highlight VHS tape that was available only at Eagle Hardware and Garden, more of everything around here back in the 90s. But it reminded me of these 2 baseball bros that they cut to in this movie, and their chant, it's great. Big unit! Big unit! Big unit! Just chanting big unit with your with your buddies.
Slightly off from
just
one another.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, officially as of yesterday, Bill Belichick's buyout at North Carolina has dropped down to $1 million. What's the real headline?
And that's $1 million more than each of his kids will get if his girlfriend has anything to say about it.
Dang. It's true, though.
Yeah.
Well, at least we think it's true. She's got her hands on everything with Bill Belichick's life.
Do you know how furious I'd be as one of his kids, all of whom are older than her, by the way, by like at least a decade? How furious you'd be as one of his kids if like she becomes like overseer
Inherits
of his
everything?
will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least Steve Belichick will probably get the North Carolina job if Bill were to move on at some point. Like, that just kind of seems like the order of succession. I feel like Steve Belichick is his favorite child because he's coached with him at every stop along the way. But does his love for his own son supersede his maybe infatuation with Jordan Hudson? I don't know. Is it real love?
Look,
who
all
can
of us
say?
know someone who's been lost in the sauce. You know
It's
what
true.
I mean? It's just sometimes that doesn't happen in your 70s.
Do you think that Bill Belichick's inner circle is like trying to keep it nice with him, but maybe the second that these two split apart, we all have this friend where they come to you and be like, "Hey, so and and I, we broke up." You're like, dude, finally, like
1,000%. I think
it's about time.
Yes, I think. In fact, I listened to that full Pablo Torre podcast. First of all, Pablo Torre Finds Out is a phenomenal podcast, but then he has 2 more specifically about this relationship. And the first one that we listened to, that we cited on the show, that was the original one that made headlines saying that UNC had banned Jordan Hudson. As part of that, he talks about how all the people in Bill Belichick's inner circle, like all these coaches he's taken everywhere with him, all of these people are just kind of yes men, and that there are so many whisperings of people being disapproving of this relationship and feeling like he's being taken advantage of, but no one has said anything because everyone around him is a yes man. Again, this is basically celebrity gossip. Take it with a grain of salt, but as a lover of reality TV, I certainly enjoyed listening, and I can also buy it. I can buy that people around Bill Belichick just don't want to push themselves. They don't want to knock themselves from that tree.
No.
So they'd rather not shake it than say anything at all. All right. We have a weird Mariner stat coming your way next.
It's It's the next phase of the Seahawks offseason, OTAs.
Jansen, he's going 40.
And Seattle sports is all over it.
The Seahawks, they're into it now.
The one thing about Mike McDonald is he knows exactly what he wants to do.
Wyman and Bob are live from the VMAC this afternoon beginning at 2. Complete insider coverage at seattlesports.com, the Seattle Sports YouTube channel, and the Seattle Sports app. We are the home of the Seahawks. Seattle Sports.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
Well, I'm here with my good buddy, Dr. Dan Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine, and you've heard from Dr. Dan's patients over the years how a simple stem cell procedure has successfully conquered their pain. Well, folks, now it's my turn. After years of dealing with knee pain from all the football abuse, I can say my knee pain now is almost 100% gone. How'd you do it, Dr. Dan?
Well, Brock, personally, I'm very happy that you did so well. And your story is like so many of our other patients who come in, former athletes and non-athletes as well, who have come in with chronic knee pain, and they are looking for alternatives besides knee replacement surgery. And we're happy to provide this service. It's been truly a game changer for so many folks. It's just been a pleasure to be part of this.
Consider Dr. Nelson, the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. I was in and out with a couple of follow-ups. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit danielnelsonmd.com. That's danielnelsonmd.com.
Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new roof replacement. Book a free estimate online, and when you meet with Brandon, that's Don's son, tell him you heard the message on the radio station. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom! That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
This just in. The NFL schedule has dropped, and you know what that means. It's go time. Adam Schefter here with the Insider Tip. If you're trying to catch your team live this season, Vivid Seats is the move. For the best selection of games and seats, it's time to snap your tickets up now. Vivid Seats has great deals on great seats and the only rewards program in the game. It's no wonder they're the official ticketing partner of ESPN. So don't wait. Head to vividseats.com or download the app and lock in those game days.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions. Like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures. Until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies to same item. Current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
The home of the Mariners.
It is gone! Cal Raleigh, 2-run home run!
Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with the $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 6/22/25. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Do you have a car you'd like to sell but don't want to go through all the hassle? With all the scams and security risks out there, more and more people are uncomfortable selling their own car. So how do you get the most money for your used car without selling it yourself? Stacy here with the answer. Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Not only will they purchase your car and pay you right up front for it, but it gets way better. Once they resell your old car, they share half the profit with you. The question I get most from my friends and colleagues is, what's the catch? And how can they offer this? It's super simple. All the money they save by not traveling to buy cars at auctions, like purchase fees, shipping, and travel expenses, is what allows them to offer this. They'd rather share that money they save with you than outside vendors. They encourage you to shop around, but if Wayscar Ford can pay you the same or more as their competitors and then share half their profit with you once they resell your car, why would you sell your car anywhere else? They've already shared over $800,000 with customers, and it's only at Wayscar Ford. That's wayscarford.com, Wayscar Ford in Auburn.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. Curtis, you've got a very weird Mariners stat. We're trying to make sense of it. Tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, so the Mariners win consecutive games on Saturday and Sunday.
Very cool.
Cool. I mean, that's
awesome.
what you do as a baseball team,
I would
right?
never look down my nose at that.
Yeah, unless you're, the Colorado Rockies, you just don't win games. But yeah, the Mariners won Saturday and Sunday consecutive games. Whoop-de-doo. Stacy,
yes.
That is the first time the Mariners have won consecutive games since May 18th and 19th. We're talking, what, like 2 weeks?
Well, I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
Let's figure out what to make of it, because I will spoil it for people that Curtis let me know of this stat when we were show prepping, and I thought, that's so fascinating. I need to talk about how I feel about it. You might be someone who thinks, well, I don't care. Whatever. They've taken some series wins. They've lost tough ones. It's baseball. It doesn't really matter. However, I think that there is a way to look at this club that when you play with such a slim margin for error, you can play a lot of what ifs and end up with a very different outcome. There's a world where the last series this club wins is against the Padres. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of scraped a couple by the White Sox. They scraped a couple by the Twins. And even though you had cool moments in the series wins that they had, and heck, for that matter, sometimes you had moments in losses, particularly to the Astros. I kind of want to forget the Washington Nationals series.
Yeah.
But there's a world where this team's last great showing was in San Diego. And since then, you're kind of figuring out what's not working.
It's been a slog, to say the least, these last couple of weeks, and especially like you said, you just kind of want to black out that National Series. The Astros won, and that's how bad I think the National Series went for you, because we all kind of forgot how that Astros series ended last week. It ended on a walk-off home run. Like, that is a gut punch in itself, and that feels like forever ago when the Mariners lost that series to the Astros, but yet it was quite literally just a week ago. And everything this week just kind of coming to a head here with the losses to the Twins and extras, to the losses to the Nationals. Saturday was a dogfight getting that win in 11 innings. Yesterday was a dogfight getting the win in 9 innings. I mean, the wins have not been easy to come by right now, Stacy. And I get that happens through the course of a season, through the flow of a season. But to me, I think one of the most concerning things is not just the losses and the late inning losses, but also you're losing games by quite a significant margin. Your run differential right now, you're 32-26, but your run differential is +8 at the moment. And as we know, run differential is a conversation people hate having over the course of a 162-game season, because ultimately what matters is the win column. That's the most important thing. But when your run differential starts getting closer and closer to 0, when you have a winning record, it then kind of opens your mind up to being like, okay, how real is this record right now?
Yeah. And I mean, the reality is that if this club gets to the playoffs, they're just going to be a deeply flawed club. So the answer is always going to be, well, the record is real. Like, they're going to be in first place, or maybe they're going to be able to get there as a wild card, or, what have you. But that you're going to be able to find. I think there's a lot we can't definitively say about this team on June 1st, but one thing we can is that they're not a complete club, and that's not going to change by September. Can they be a playoff team? TBD. I mean, I think they can in a weekend AL West and a weekend American League. But I wanted to take a step back. I've isolated splits from just the last 15 days offensively. I know that you and I talked about the things that we disliked about this club series against the Twins, and bullpen was our number one of just like, oh man, like this is the thing that we kind of left feeling gross about. However, if you were looking at player stats for the last 15 days, you've got Cal Raleigh raking, slashing 324, 14, 840, with 8 home runs over the last 15 days. Julio's been solid, 3 home runs over the last 15 days, hitting 275, OPS over 700, so just fine. And then you've got guys that just aren't doing much of anything. I know we just talked about that walk-off from Randy, but he's hitting under 200. Obviously, Jorge Polanco has really been floundering. He's 2 for 34, hitting 059. So in the last 15 days. And I think it's clear he's a tough dude playing through injury, but just has not been.
There's
Likewise,
something to that.
You can look at Garver doing the same thing at times, just being pretty timid at the plate and not getting a lot of contact.
Well, and I think that was one of the big reasons for the Cole Young call-up, right?
Yeah.
Because it's equal parts, I think, Cole Young being on an incredible heater to finish off his AAA stint with the Rainiers, but also the Mariners need a bat. They need something in that lineup to spark, and we haven't seen it quite yet from Cole Young. I mean, he did get the base hit in the 9th inning in his debut, and then got the walk-off that didn't leave the infield. Wasn't ruled a hit on that, which I thought was a little bit of a bummer, but hey, he still got the RBI, whatever.
It's a walk-off fielder's choice.
Sure, yeah. It's a weird kind of
plate appearance? I don't know.
when he's telling the story to his grandkids about his walk-off in his major league debut, like, does he say, yeah, I got the walk-off hit? Or he's like, well, I got the walk-off ground out that, they went home with and the runner scored. I think he tells his grandkids I got the walk-off hit. I think that would be what the route I would go for sure. But look, he has been brought in to kind of help this offense get right. And I know that's a lot of expectation to heap onto a 21-year-old making their first trip up to the big leagues, but they need him right now, and they need something to get the bottom of the order going as well, especially now that JP is your leadoff hitter and will probably be your leadoff hitter when this lineup is at full strength. We don't know when, like, Luke Raley's coming back. We don't know if Victor Robles is coming back. Like, there's just a lot of question marks with those regulars, and I think Cole Young right now, him being at the big league level, definitely represents, I think, a better opportunity for offense out of that second base spot. You're now able to move Dylan Moore around more. He can play third base. He can play the outfield. He can play first base if you need to, which would then give Rowdy Tellez a breather. So I think the Cole Young call-up, which we didn't get to talk about because it happened on Friday night, I think that, to me, is a good move going forward. And I think even if he doesn't hit to the level that he was doing in Tacoma, which I think is going to be very tough for anybody to replicate, but let's say he hits, 240, 250 the rest of the way, has an OPS above 700, I'll take that. I'll take that out of a guy making his major league debut.
Someone said saying this club can't improve by September is asinine, which is not what I said.
No.
I said in September, they're still going to be an incomplete club by virtue of just this roster.
Right.
Like, this is not an elite, top tier, top payroll roster, but that's okay. You can still be a good ball club. You can be a competitive club. You can have flaws as a team. You can have an Achilles heel and still be pretty darn good.
Sure.
As long as you round out your edges. And that's the thing that we're going to be watching for with this club. One thing that is going to keep carrying them, and this is good news, is obviously Cal Raleigh's ceiling. Speaking of asinine, so I'm glad that this listener chose that word. Is it asinine, Curtis, to think Cal Raleigh could be AL MVP? We're going to talk about some of these front runners coming up next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one, the only John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Spring is here and it's time to make some changes. I have a plan that has helped over 4,000 people in the Seattle-Tacoma area lose up to a pound per day. No surgery, no exercise, no box packaged food, and no drugs or injections with potential side effects. We have a team of health coaches that can support you every step of the way. Schedule your free 15-minute, no-pressure phone consultation online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com and also see our incredible before and after transformations.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here with Ryan Roland Smith.
Thanks, Mike. I've been hearing for about 2 years now how you did the Eastside Weight Loss Clinic plan, and you lost a ton of weight. So I decided to see what the program was all about, and I'm so glad I did. So far, I've lost 30 pounds, and my only regret is not starting sooner.
Let our proven system help you lose 20 to 30 pounds or more in just 60 days. You can start our program in person at our Kirkland office or remotely from anywhere you live. Schedule your free phone consultation online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. That's eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
June is Men's Health Month, and we want to place a special emphasis on prostate cancer awareness and treatment. Prostate cancer can be silent. It's important to get checked, even if you have no symptoms. Ask your primary care doc for a PSA screening if you're 50 or over, and 45 if there's a family history. If you or someone you know is diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider treatment at Swedish Cyberknife right here in Seattle. It only takes 5 short treatment sessions. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate.
You said you'd never buy your kid candy from the checkout aisle. Or forget extra diapers. And never give in to a meltdown. You'd never lick your thumb to clean their face. Never let them have too much screen time. And never bribe them for just one more bite. You say you'd never let them out in public without their hair brushed. Never, ever become a minivan mom. And you'd never give them your phone for a quiet dinner.
Calling boss work phone.
So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, no, it can happen. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk in temperatures as low as 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Cal swinging a drive, deep to right field.
Every pitch of every Mariners game is on the Seattle Sports app.
At Washington Energy Services, we take the time to get to know you and your home. We have the passion and commitment to see each project through and to treat our work as more than just a job. For over 65 years, we've offered award-winning home services, from heating and cooling, plumbing and electrical, to windows and doors. Complete home improvement handled from start to comfort. For peace of mind when you need it most, count on Washington Energy Services, bringing good energy to your home.
The Mariners are giving you more baseball for your buck. With Mariners Value Games, score seats for as little as $11 on select dates all season long. Plus, check out the expanded Mariners Value menu and beers available every game. Enjoy ballpark classics like hot dogs and nachos for less than $5 and a great selection of brews starting at just $5. Go to mariners.com/value to grab your tickets and check out the full slate of value options at T-Mobile Park.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen. And PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Is it crazy to think that Cal Raleigh could be AL MVP in the face of what Aaron Judge is doing? Probably. But, Curtis, let's talk about the front runners and where Cal stacks up, and probably spend a good chunk of this time comparing what he's doing to Aaron Judge, where there are clear differences, where Judge has the clear advantage, etc. We had a listener text in and say, it's absolutely not asinine to think Cal Raleigh could be AL MVP, save one man named Aaron Judge. But to be a close second to Judge is not a bad place to be at all. Curtis, as of 6 days ago, Cal Raleigh's odds were not second to Judge. Instead, you'd have to look at Bobby Witt Jr., who had the second best odds behind Aaron Judge, who's the overwhelming favorite in the American League to be MVP. I would guess that's changed a little bit on sportsbooks over the last 6 days, but it's kind of Aaron Judge and everyone else is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fair because Aaron Judge has produced to a level that very few players have ever even sniffed in the course of baseball history. The thing, though, about that is it's not likely for him to keep up that pace because it's just so otherworldly. Like, I don't think Aaron Judge at the end of the season is going to be hitting 400. Yeah. I believe he's below 400 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's a bum hitting 391.
Wow. Wow, dude. Ever hit a baseball in your life?
God, send him down. Send him, DFA him.
But I think Cal Raleigh, if he breaks, say, the single-season home run record for a catcher, if he wins another Gold Glove, if he is if he sets like the record for WAR by a catcher, which he is on pace to do, he's on pace to have the best offensive season by a catcher in baseball history. That should mean something. Now, will it pay off at the very end with an MVP trophy? We're still so far away from that, but you have to be talking about him, at least in the conversation of challengers in the American League. I don't think it is cut and dry that Aaron Judge wins unanimously at this point. Yeah. Now, he is the biggest face in baseball. He plays on the most popular team in baseball. That is not going to help anybody's case going up against him. But if you're not paying attention to Cal Raleigh on a national level, you're not doing your job. You don't know ball, son. Exactly. Paul Hembekides last week was on with Brock and Salk and said that, look, if Cal is just average what he normally does the rest of the way, then yes, he is in that MVP conversation.
Now, that's not to suggest that he's going to necessarily triple the production that we've seen from the first third of the season, but candidly, he doesn't even have to. If Cal Raleigh merely plays the back of his baseball card the rest of the season, the head start that he has provided himself provides him a really good chance to be an MVP finalist and to be considered clearly and obviously the best catcher in the game. I think the reason why the national perception of him is not yet to this point, aside from us, of course, not watching him every day the way that you do, is because he's so brilliant, it's boring.
I'm not bored by his brilliance. Are you bored by
He's
his
hitting so many
brilliance,
bombs.
Stacey?
It's putting me to sleep.
I'm not bored by it at all. I mentioned earlier how I made a point to run back to my seat on Saturday so that I could see Cal Raleigh hit.
From both sides of the plate? No. A switch hitter hitting bombs. He's got 23 leading the league. Absolutely not boring in any way. I get what Paul's saying, though, is that, like, it's unreal how consistent he is in his production with home runs. Like, at this point, it's not even a hot streak. It's just he can't turn it off. He's just so good. I wanted to bring up a text from a listener, Curtis. You've mentioned this prior, but just to explore it a little bit. The things that kind of have to go into someone's MVP campaign, most especially if that person is, let's say, not an outfielder, not a star, infielder, what have you, not a pitcher. Someone said, well, Buster Posey did win MVP in 2012. He was the NL MVP. Yes. Also of a World Series team.
Sure.
With the Giants. And I know that is going to come at different times. But I do think that just like in any other league, the MVP is usually not just quietly producing at a crazy level. You've got to be part of a story. And ball writers and ball knowers can say that that's not the case, but I think that's the case almost no matter what. The MVP will still have to be garnering attention for a while and making a case for why he's just having a phenomenal season. And unfortunately, a catcher, much less a catcher hitting a ton of home runs on a team that isn't going to stay in first place, so let's hope the Mariners do, or isn't going to make it to the playoffs, is less of a story.
Sure. And Posey in 2012 was just a couple years removed from winning Rookie of the Year and had won his first World Series ring with the Giants, and then they win it again in 2012. One thing that helped him a lot that season in winning the National League MVP is that he won one of the traditional categories. He led the league in one of the traditional categories. And I know a lot of people nowadays say, oh, how valuable are the categories, home runs, RBIs, batting average, what have you. But he won a batting title in the National League as a catcher, which is really hard to do, mainly because it's hard to qualify for the at-bats needed as a catcher. And then on top of that, winning the batting title, he hit 336 that season. Now, Cal's not going to hit 336 this year, but he is leading all of baseball in home runs, a traditional stat, a stat that is one that I know a lot of media people will say, oh, those stats don't really matter. They do in terms of like award voting. And I think Cal Raleigh, if he were to continue at this pace and lead all of baseball in home runs as a catcher, becoming the first catcher to ever do that, it would stand for something. It would really mean something, I think, in the eyes of the voter, especially because it's never been done before. And like when I hear all these records that Cal Raleigh is like on pace to break, the catcher home runs record, that one's surprising to me because in my mind I think of like Mike Piazza or somebody like that. But no, it's Salvador Perez just a couple of years ago, like when he had 48 home runs. There was that series he had against the Mariners where I think he hit grand slams in back-to-back nights. That was a brutal.
Unfortunately, I remember that.
That was a brutal series because it was like near the end of the year too. It was bad.
It's the worst.
I think that would mean something to the voters if Cal were to finish the season leading all of Major League Baseball in home runs. I don't think it's simply enough for Cal to lead the AL in home runs, even though you would be beating Aaron Judge basically in that category. But like he's got more than Ohtani. He's got more than the two best power hitters in all of baseball right now.
Well, and look, I know he's got a ton of strikeouts, but it's not drastically more than Judge. You pointed out a really good point, which is part of the reason that sometimes catchers will get that knock is just not having quite the same ABs, quite the same number of games. He's appeared in exactly the same number of games as Judge with 58. He has 8 fewer at-bats. It's that's partly also just New York going through that rotation. His average is also a career high with 264. Like, I'm not finding a lot of the knocks against Cal. I'm only finding a case in point for Aaron Judge playing like Barry Bonds for the last season and a third.
Well, and I mean, that might be a feather in Cal's cap where it's like the only guy that could beat you in an MVP vote is quite literally the best player on earth. And And not just the best player on earth, but the best player on earth who is having the best offensive season that we've seen post Barry Bonds.
All right. We are going to switch gears. We've spent the first hour talking about the Mariners. We're not done talking about the Mariners, but I am out here at Seahawks OTAs at Virginia Mason Athletic Center. ESPN's Brady Henderson is going to join us. We're going to talk about a bit of what we're going to watch for today. Then we've got 4 Down Territory, 4 football questions coming up at 11:15. Don't go anywhere.
It's the next phase of the Seahawks offseason. OTAs.
Jansen, he's going 40.
And Seattle sports is all over it.
The Seahawks, they're into it now.
The one thing about Mike McDonald is he knows exactly what he wants to do.
Wyman and Bob are live from the VMAC this afternoon beginning at 2. Complete insider coverage at seattlesports.com, the Seattle Sports YouTube channel, and the Seattle Sports app. We are the home of the Seahawks. Seattle Sports.
You're losing your hair and you simply need a solution that works. You want the best. Modern technology, top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need world-class Dr. Perungo and his team at Advanced Hair. Advanced Hair has completely redefined hair restoration. From the experience itself to their unmatched results. Receding hairline, bald spot, thinning hair, maybe all 3 like I had. Get your hair back with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment that begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day. Advanced Hair has changed tens of thousands of lives, including mine. And get this, Advanced Hair is once again the winner of the 425 Business of the Year. For your free consultation, call 425-449-8185. Right now, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Refine your hairline with the team that redefined hair restoration. That's 425-449-8185. Or for the before and afters, visit advancedhair.com.
Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at emeraldqueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Guys, want long-term health you can count on? It starts with knowing your numbers. This June, for Men's Health Month, Revive Seattle is offering a free comprehensive wellness panel, a $400 value, including testosterone, blood sugar, heart health, and more. Take control of your health today and stay strong for the long haul. Offer ends June 30th. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com today.
Got neighbors? Big Trees can help. This is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. If you've been considering planting trees to add privacy, look no further than Big Trees. Privacy trees fill in empty spaces, help to define property lines, and add curb appeal. Learn more about Big Trees' big supply of privacy trees at bigtreesupply.com.
Beauty, privacy, instantly. Big Trees.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new roof replacement. Book a free estimate online, and when you meet with Brandon, that's Don's son, tell him you heard the message on the radio station. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Lions Pro center Frank Ragnow surprisingly announced his retirement from the league this morning. He cited a need to prioritize his health and family. The 29-year-old's dealt with a number of injuries over the last couple seasons, including a partially torn pec last year. Remember Saquon Barkley's famous backward spinning hurdle over a Jags defender this season? Of course you do. Is one of the most iconic plays of the year, and as announced and published this morning, is the official cover of Madden 26.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. We started the day with an hour of Mariners talk. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus, and now Curtis and I bringing on ESPN's Brady Henderson. Let's dive into the Seahawks OTAs today and for the next couple days. Brady, I'm going to ask you a question that we're not getting into with 4 Down Territory, so this is perfect. What are you just most curious to see?
Most curious, well, I mean, Sam Darnold is the obvious one, but I think first and foremost, I would say the attendance, and that's always kind of one of the first things that you look at during these off-season practices. And it looks like, based on the photo galleries that they have uploaded, from those first 3 voluntary OTAs, and it looks like basically everybody is there. I think the one guy I haven't seen is Uchenna Nwosu, and he's obviously, coming off the injury and probably still rehabbing that. So it's basically looks like it's been either perfect or near perfect attendance, which you don't always see. So that would suggest that, maybe this is one of those years, one of those seemingly rare years where you go into training camp without any real contract drama. They've got obviously a few guys from that 2022 draft class who are going to be eligible for extensions. And we think we could see at least one, if not maybe a few of those get done kind of on their usual timeline, like, closer to the start of training camp or right after that. But it doesn't look like, unless one of those goes south, it doesn't look like there's going to be any real contract drama this year. So beyond just the attendance, it's Sam Darnold. I mean, when the team trades its starting quarterback and signs a guy coming off a Pro Bowl year, how do you not kind of focus on that guy? And I'm just curious to see, it's not like you can glean a ton from an off-season practice in early June where, they're just starting to get into 7-on-7 and 11-on-11, and they're not wearing pads and they're not, hitting, and he's not facing a real pass rush. I still want to see, what the arm looks like, because I don't know that Sam Darnold is as talented as Geno Smith was. And I don't think that was a talent issue, that the reason the Seahawks made that swap. I think it was for a number of other reasons. But I want to see what Sam Darnold's arm looks like, what the movement looks like. And that's probably the first thing I'll be watching.
Brady, you mentioned how attendance in OTAs is often dictated by contract negotiations, and there's plenty of guys entering the final year of their rookie deals. A lot of those guys from the class of 2022. Charles Cross had his 5th-year option picked up in May by the team. So, Brady, when you mention some of these guys that are in line for new deals, which ones do you think are maybe likeliest to happen before the start of the season?
I mean, Cross is the obvious one, but even then, they did pick up the option, so there is another year that he's under contract. Remember, when you pick up a guy's fifth-year option, that's going into the fourth year of his rookie deal, so he's now under contract for the next 2 seasons. So, technically, I suppose there is not like a major sense of urgency to get the deal done as there would be if the guy was going into his a contract year. But I still think you want to do right by the player, and he has been a very good player for them. It's, they have talked about maybe not doing a good enough job of retaining the quality offensive linemen that they have had over the years. And, there's probably some names that come to mind of guys that they let walk. Then in retrospect, maybe they should have hung on to those guys. And so I don't see any way where they don't ultimately extend Charles Cross. But and I would think that's going to happen this year, just because that's typically what you do is you extend a guy like that once he's eligible. But beyond that, I mean, a few years ago, you would have looked at this class and said, gosh, there could be, as many as 5 guys that get extensions just based on how well those guys played early in their career. Some of those guys, I think it's maybe not as obvious, at least that they would do a deal right now. I mean, I'm thinking of, Ken Walker. I wonder if, maybe they want to see him stay healthy, and maybe they want to see how he fits into the new offense and the new running scheme under Clint Kubiak and John Benton and all those guys. Rick Woolen, I haven't gotten the sense that they're planning on giving him a new deal just because of some of the inconsistency. Boye Mafe, I think, would probably be the other guy who would seem to me to be most likely to get a deal done this offseason. But, Abe Lucas, obviously there's the health questions there, and maybe they would want to see him play a full season and just to make sure that knee injury is behind him. I think Kobe Bryant is another interesting guy. I mean, obviously they traded up to draft Nick Emanwori early in the second round, which, suggests that, they view him as their long-term starter next to Julian Love. But, it could be an opportunity to maybe kind of buy low, so to speak, on a guy like Kobe Bryant and extend him, before he really pops this year. Because I think while Emanwori, they obviously spent a high pick on him, from the sounds of it, it sounds like they don't expect him to start right away, and they expect him to be more of, as Mike McDonald has called it, a second-level player. So if you still think that Kobe Bryant is your starter, maybe this is an opportunity to kind of get a deal done on the cheap. But I would say the most likely guys would be Cross first and then Mafe second.
I want to talk about tight ends. It's a really interesting group here in Seattle. And Brady, in part, I also want to talk about what hasn't worked for this group. This is a front office that's not made a massive investment, but a pretty notable one in tight ends, whether it was giving Will Dissly a pretty notably sized extension, obviously trading for Jimmy Graham back in 2015, making a couple different draft picks, Colby Parkinson, A.J. Barner, and they just haven't been able to get a ton out of that group in terms of pass catchers. Obviously, they've had some good talent in there that just maybe hasn't evolved into kind of Pro Bowl level. What do you think this team saw when they brought in Elijah Arroyo, and what does his arrival mean for someone like Noah Fant?
Yeah, it is a good point about just their history of tight ends, and for all the grief that Jimmy Graham gets about that trade, supposedly being a bust, which I would disagree with. I mean, it's very complicated, but I would not say that trade was a bust by any means when you consider that Jimmy Graham was, is still the most productive tight end in Seahawks history, despite only, playing in Seattle for 3 years. But to your point, they haven't gotten a lot of consistent production out of that position for whatever reason. And, I think they thought that Noah Fant could be that guy, and that just hasn't really been the case. I think that becomes a pretty interesting situation to watch. I would say it already was an interesting situation to watch, what may happen with Noah Fant, even before they drafted Elijah Arroyo. But, spending a second-round pick on a guy with a pretty similar skill set, I think that does signal to me that, you've got to keep an eye on what may happen with Noah Fant. He's due to make, I wrote about this, but I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but it's a lot of money. Yeah. For a guy who, the production hasn't quite matched that. I think he's, just speaking generally, I want to say he's somewhere around the 10th or 11th highest paid tight ends in the NFL, and the production has been more, depending on what metric you use, the production has been generally, more in like the late teens, low 20s. And so the bottom line is you just haven't gotten the production out of Noah Fant that you would want based on what they're paying him. Yeah. And, so I would wonder, I imagine that's a player that the coaching staff really likes and the coaching staff would want, because coaches generally don't have to worry about budgets and rosters and all that. And so my best guess is that, they hang on to Noah Fant and then kind of reassess the situation maybe later in the summer based on how Elijah Arroyo is looking and his, readiness to step into a starting role. And obviously, A.J. Barner would factor into that as well. And then what their other needs look like, what the trade market may be for Noah Fant, and what other players may become available that they could use $9 million, whatever it is that they're set to pay Noah Fant. So again, the bottom line is that is very much is a situation to watch, I think, between now and the start of the season.
Brady, two names that are still free agents that we've seen the Seahawks kind of kick the tires on this offseason are cornerbacks Shaquille Griffin and Rasul Douglas. Is there any movement on either of those fronts, or are the cornerbacks in question here still kind of waiting to see what else might be out there?
Yeah, I still think that they would like to sign a veteran guy. That was my understanding, after the draft. I think that they went into the draft wanting to take a cornerback, but to me, that looked like a situation where they were, they stayed disciplined and they weren't going to draft a cornerback just to take one. I think they had some guys that they liked early in the draft, and when the board didn't fall their way, they pivoted. But that nonetheless left them with a need. And I would say that I think they would tell you that that's their biggest need right now. For as much as we focus on the offensive line, I'm guessing that they would tell you that a veteran cornerback is their top need right now. And so, the two guys you mentioned, Shaquille Griffin, Rasul Douglas, both guys that they've kept an eye on. My sense has been that Griffin would be the priority and that Rasul Douglas would be a fallback. And, it just seems to me, I don't know this for a fact, but just looking at it logically, I would guess that this is just a situation where the money hasn't been right. I think Shaquille Griffin played for, $4.5 million, something like that, last season in Minnesota. I don't think the Seahawks want to spend that much money. That would be my guess on a veteran guy, considering, that guy would at best be the number 3 cornerback, would probably be competing with Josh Jobe to fill that role. And I don't think, this seems like a spot where you would probably want to pay a guy, closer to the minimum, maybe a little bit above the minimum with some upside to make more money and incentives or whatever. And so that would be my guess, is just that, the veteran cornerbacks they've had their eye on, they want to make more money than what the Seahawks want to pay to fill that spot.
Brady, I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to take one answer off the table because it's too easy. So the question is, is one that we're going to be asking ourselves all off season long, and for that matter, all season long until we know the answer. And it's not just how do the Seahawks get to the playoffs, but how do they take that next big step forward? The storyline we've been talking about for a long, long time is development on the offensive line. So I'm going to take that off the table for you because it's the obvious number one answer of they need to improve up front, obviously. Where else do you think the Seahawks could use a step forward or would benefit most from a step forward where you could see this could make a real impact on that win-loss total?
Yeah, to me, it's the scheme and the quarterback doing their part to help the pass protection. And, for as much as everyone likes to focus on the offensive line, and, it really goes beyond that when you talk about protecting the quarterback. And they would tell you that a big part of the reason they struggled to do that last year, I don't think that they would deny that they didn't, I don't think they would tell you that they had the most talented offensive line in the NFL, or I don't think that they would deny that there was a talent deficiency there, at least at some spots. But they would also tell you that part of the reason why they struggled to protect Geno Smith was because the scheme, at times put their offensive linemen in tough situations when you consider all of the shotgun that they ran, they were one of the more pass-happy offenses in the NFL, and they did a lot of it out of shotgun, which really puts, offensive linemen at a disadvantage because, it makes life hard on those guys when defenders, see the quarterback lined up in shotgun. They know that this is a pass-happy offense. Well, that sort of takes away the guesswork out of it a little bit. And they just didn't have much of a run game to keep, defensive players, keep those pass rushers honest. And so I think a big step, if you just remove the growth of the offensive line and the one big upgrade that they made there, it's got to happen with the scheme putting those offensive linemen in better positions. And I think part of that is getting the quarterback out of the pocket. I put together a chart after they hired Clint Kubiak just to look at some of his tendencies. And last season in New Orleans, they ran the third highest percentage of plays in which they got the quarterback out of the pocket. So you can imagine, if your offensive line is struggling to protect the guy, one thing you can do is put the quarterback on the move and, just to get him away from some of those pass rushers. And so I would expect that that's going to be part of that plan. But the point is, it goes beyond just, the one upgrade there. It's going to have to go beyond just that one upgrade because, that was really the one thing. This offensive line may basically be the same as last year, or at least what it was at the end of last season once Abe Lucas got back, save for just that one upgrade. And so it's going to take more than Gray Zabel coming in and being a stud left guard. It's going to take the scheme helping those offensive linemen out and the quarterback himself helping those offensive linemen out.
Last one from me, Brady. Pro Football Focus last week, they ranked each team's draft class in terms of college experience, number of snaps taken by each draft class, and the Seahawks came in at number 1. They had 11 draft picks, but so they were 5th in terms of average snaps taken by draft picks. So a lot of experience in this class at the college level. What does that tell you maybe about their draft strategy? Because it felt like a lot of years they would take a little more guys that maybe need a little more seasoning before they hit the field.
Yeah, I don't know if it was by design necessarily. I mean, I remember last year putting together a chart that showed the age of their draft picks, and they had a lot of guys last year that were, 23, 24 years old. I think one of them maybe turned 25 during the season. So I don't know if a lot of that is by design necessarily. I think some of it is just a product of, guys are staying in college longer in today's, college game just because of NIL. And also you had a lot of those guys now who took a COVID year and had that extra year of eligibility. So it's a plus in some respects that, guys like that in theory are, more ready to step in and play right away just because they've got more experience, their bodies are more physically developed. That doesn't always work that way because I remember thinking last year that Christian Haynes had a really good chance to win the right guard job because, he had started 48 games in college and because he was, 23, 24 years old. So it helps you. I think generally speaking, it's a plus, but I don't know if it always, necessarily translates to a guy coming in and having early success. And I don't know in the case of the Seahawks, whether it was just by coincidence or whether that was really any sort of a draft strategy on their part.
He is ESPN's Brady Henderson. Keep an eye out for the latest from Brady as the Seahawks begin an open portion of OTAs this week. Thanks so much, Brady.
Thanks, Brady.
Yep, you got it. Thanks for having me. See ya.
Let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down to you, Stacy. Bit of a surprise announcement across the NFL today. All-Pro center Frank Ragnow announcing his retirement from the Lions. What was the most impressive thing about his NFL career?
The consistency through injuries. And I know that there are a number of, and I would say the vast majority of NFL players that play through some kind of injury, right? You hear guys all the time talk about, no one's healthy. It doesn't matter if your bye week comes in the middle or the late part of the season and you get a chance to rest. No one is ever truly playing healthy. It's an incredibly violent sport, but Frank Ragnow's had some brutal ones and has continued to be a 3-time Pro Bowl center, one of the best centers in the league, one of the best run-blocking centers, second-team All-Pro, just absolutely amazing. So in addition to ankle and groin injuries, turf toe, and a concussion, he suffered a fractured throat in 2020. I don't know if you guys remember this one. It was in the first quarter of a game. Important to note, he did not leave. He did not leave the game after suffering a fractured throat. There is just a level of toughness with any athlete, particularly with NFL players, that I can really respect as someone who taps out if I have a sore knee from any activity. Like if we're walking somewhere and I'm like, it's pretty hot out, let's drive. I really respect that kind of mental grit and toughness. But a fractured throat in a game that you then do not leave, or missing maybe a game last year through a number of injuries, including a partially torn pec, is especially impressive. So tip of the cap to offensive linemen in general and Frank Ragnow. In this case, happy retirement.
Second down. Stacy, last week brought rumors of a potential trade of Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts, but we saw a wrinkle thrown into that rumor today. What happened?
Apparently Kyle Pitts is injured. I didn't know that this was a thing. I tried, looking up if there was like maybe a nagging injury that he had that was carrying in, but they haven't disclosed what this injury is. All they said, them being Raheem Morris, head coach Raheem Morris, is that his absence, Pitts, is not injury related. They just said they're being extremely cautious, so that's why he's not out there. With the number 4 overall pick having his 5th-year option picked up, but then not a long-term extension, I think a lot of people were wondering, like, are the Falcons going to trade this guy? Like, he has all the potential. He's still fairly young, but he just hasn't been able to be as explosive in that offense as he could be, at least not since his rookie season. Could that happen in another offense? Could there be a team out there who could really make the most of his talents? And so I think what started as like a really interesting trade rumor around Friday turned into, oh, he's not even on the field. So what's that mean for the trade rumor? So that's the latest you need to know about Kyle Pitts.
3rd down. All right, Stacy, we asked Brady this question, so who are you most curious to see at OTAs this week?
So I needed to make sure that Brady's answer would eliminate mine, or not eliminate mine, but that I could eliminate Brady's and not have some duplicates. So thankfully we worked that out. Mine is going to be Jalen Milroe. So Brady said that he's very eager to see, attendance, and so far so good, with Uchenna Nwosu being the only person who isn't out here for an understandable reason, still coming off of injury, so fine. But otherwise, no unexcused absences, no notable absences, and no contract issues. Great. And then Brady also said something that's very important. We've talked about it plenty, Curtis, and that is, hey, I want to see what Sam Darnold looks like. Brady has an inkling that Sam Darnold is maybe not quite as polished a passer as Geno Smith was, whatever people want to say about Geno, so he wants to see that put to the test. This is from a point of selfishness. I don't think that Jalen Milroe, who is my answer, is going to suddenly become your starter. I'm not interested in watching him because I think he's going to take that job from Sam Darnold. This is pure selfishness, okay? I have not watched a drafted Seahawks quarterback not named Russell Wilson, or Alex Magoo, I guess, throw a football. So I started covering this team in 2015, where Wilson was obviously no longer a rookie. They had already been to a Super Bowl. They had been to a second. Them coming back after Super Bowl 49, awkward vibes, was my first season. So I've never, ever watched a drafted rookie passer where people were kind of interested in what he was doing. I've never seen it here. And I've always been so jealous of people I know around the league that are like, yeah, we're watching so-and-so. Even when it's not a first rounder, it's just fun. It's just fun to have something new and interesting to watch at camp. And so I'm kind of excited to see that new and interesting thing this year, which is Jalen Milroe.
4th down. Stacy, were it not Saquon Barkley's memorable hurdle gracing the cover of this year's Madden 26, which was announced this morning, who or what should have been on the cover?
So I have an aesthetic answer, and then I have a real answer.
All right.
I'll start with the aesthetic answer. It makes sense that neither of these, it's not a specific player, it is like a game. I thought both serious snow games this year were like my favorite football viewing moments of the season. One of them was Steelers-Browns. It was not a great game. It just looked so amazing. It looked so
that was
like
the
football
Jameis
being,
Winston game.
Yeah, it looked like football being played in a snow globe, and I had so much fun watching it. And then 49ers-Bills, where the 49ers lost to Buffalo, and Josh Allen has this amazing game. I was like, yeah, put that on the cover.
Yeah.
Josh Allen was very recently on the cover, so we're going to go ahead and take both of those off. I think Saquon is the rightful choice for this. He's going to be a 99 player, which is apparently the Eagles' first 99 rated player in like 20 years or something.
Wow.
Absolutely insane. I can't believe that. I chose Jamar Chase. You haven't had a wide receiver on the cover since Madden 19 when it was AB. And so I just think that after the phenomenal season that he's had, I know Justin Jefferson always gets a tip of the cap as the best receiver in the league, but Jamar Chase had an unreal year. And I don't know. If you had to choose a second and you couldn't have your MVP Josh Allen because he was just on last year, and any other quarterback would feel either too recent or, maybe, switch it up a bit, then yeah, why not go with Jamar Chase?
That's a good, that'd be a good pick. He's popular with the kids. You mentioned Justin Jefferson too. He's very popular with the kids, doing the gritty all over the place. But yeah, I would love to have seen a 49ers loss be commemorated on...
I would have loved that.
Yeah, I saw a video today posted of the photo shoot for the cover. They made Saquon Barkley do that again. But I think
so cool.
What happened is that he was wearing a harness this time.
Yeah.
Because I bet the Eagles did not want him potentially risking injury and landing awkwardly, because that's hard to pull off once, let alone twice.
I was going to say, it also speaks to how cool it was in the first place that you had to have a harness help you recreate a thing that you did without one. Like, that's insane. It was the coolest play of the year. There's not a close second at all. All right, coming up in the timeline, the Mariners mic'd up the moment Cole Young was told he was getting his first call up to the big leagues. That's next.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10.
We got John Smoltz with us. If you had to describe this Mariner team in one sentence, what do you think they are so far?
If the Seattle Mariners find a way to score runs, they're going to be in the playoffs, and they're going to be a dangerous team. When they get the confidence that they don't have to win 2-1, 1-0, that is a big-time difference when you're looking at a team that everybody knows just needs to score runs to win.
Brock and Salk, morning 6 to 10 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here from my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, and outdoor living, and television, and a kitchen, and PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
It's time for a girls' night out back. Australia's Thunder from Down Under Temptation Tour is hitting Galaxy at Muckleshoot, June 5th through 7th. Tight abs, ripped bodies, and moves so hot you'll need a cold shower after. Get tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com and feel the thunder. June 5th through 7th, only at Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Superior Linen Service. 98 years providing logoed apparel, uniforms, floor mats, linens, and more. Give us a call. We answer the phone. Superior Linen Service. Visit suplinen.com.
Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new roof replacement. Book a free estimate online, and when you meet with Brandon, that's Don's son, tell him you heard the message on the radio station. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
June is Men's Health Month, and we want to place a special emphasis on prostate cancer awareness and treatment. It's important for men to communicate about issues relating to their health, especially family health history. Prostate cancer has been in the news, and right now I'm joined by Dr. Landis from the Swedish Cancer Institute. Dr. Landis, how common is prostate cancer?
Prostate cancer is very common. About 1 in 8 men will develop prostate cancer here in the U.S. That ends up being about 300,000 cases per year.
How can men test for prostate cancer?
Well, first thing, patients should ask to have PSA screening from their primary care doc. Anyone 50 or over, and if you have a family history starting at 45 is pretty typical.
If diagnosed, why should patients seek out Swedish CyberKnife for treatment?
What we hear from patients all the time is that treatment really was amazing. They didn't have to take time off of work. The side effects were really minimal, and there was minimal interruption in their lives.
Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife. Go to swedish.org/CyberKnifeProstate.
The home of the Mariners.
Left off to center. It is on its way. Julio, 2-run home run.
Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, don't neglect maintenance on your vehicle. Keep it safe. At Bucky's Complete Auto, we have you covered with no credit financing. For over 50 years, Bucky's has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. There's a Buc-ee's just about everywhere for oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. No appointment necessary, and financing is available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
G. Scott here with former Seahawks Cliff Averill and Doug Baldwin. I heard you guys are having a celebrity pickleball tournament to raise money for Nourishing Champions. Why pickleball?
Obviously, it's a growing sport, but also this model is that we will actually be playing with community.
We are the most competitive people, so regardless of how sorry Doug might be, he will be out there competing like it's a Super Bowl.
Sign up for the Celebrity Pickleball Tournament, open to all skill levels. For details, go to championsofchangefoundation.org/pickleball.
At 65 years old, Brian has a rather demanding hobby.
My biggest passion is snow skiing, and I ski between 70 and 80 days per year. And I ski instruct at a private resort in Montana.
Needless to say, that can be a bit tough on the joints.
When this knee started to bother me, I thought I'm doomed.
That's when Brian decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
If I did yard work or skied a few days in a row, I was fighting swelling and pain and no sleep and all sorts of problems, and that has absolutely gone away.
So are you back on the slopes?
I mean, I had a 14-day stretch with clients where I skied every day and I had no problem. It was fine. It was just like, I felt like new.
So I'm guessing you would recommend this to others.
Oh, I already have. I've told everyone that'll listen.
Whether it's a shoulder, hip, or knee, before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
It's really, truly a miracle.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
It's The Timeline on Bump and Stacy. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus today. Bump back tomorrow. Curtis will still be here.
Hey, well, yeah. I'm not going anywhere. Just because Bump will be back tomorrow doesn't mean.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't be in the same room. See ya. I'm not coming to work.
I'm out at Seahawks headquarters. OTA's kicking off later today. We're going to have an interview with Derek Hall tomorrow that you guys will get, and also tomorrow we'll have some fun updates from OTAs as those start to come in. Practice kicking off in just a little bit. It is The Timeline though, and we are starting not with the Seahawks but with the Mariners. The Mariners mic'd up Rainier's manager John Russell when he told Cole Young that Cole was getting his first call up to the big leagues, cut 10.
I meant to tell you this earlier, but I'm really proud of what you've done, how far you've come. Just take that to Seattle tomorrow, okay?
Where?
Seattle.
When?
All right, tomorrow. So you're done. You're not playing anymore this game. You're going to go play for Seattle. All right? Congratulations. Hey.
Thank you. Yo, let's go! No! Shoot down, goes to center! I don't know what to do right now, dude. Let's go, dude. You over here, kid.
Don't get out of here until you talk to me, okay?
Okay, I'll stay here. I'm gonna call my...
Well, if it's late, but call me or something, okay?
I'm so unexpected. I had no idea.
I know.
I'm a sucker for two things. Number one, call-up videos. Number two, draft call videos. Also, I read the Seattle Times had their recap of the other night's games, Saturday's game with Cole Young's walk-off, and said that Cole called his mom. At first, Cole couldn't believe it, had to hear it a couple times, which he heard in the cut. Like, wait, what? And then called his mom, and his mom cried, and then Cole was really emotional. It's just these kinds of moments. I'm so glad it came with a win. In a win in such a big way.
It was really cool on Saturday being in the stadium for his debut, obviously, seeing him get the standing ovation before his first at-bat, seeing him get his first hit, the walk-off. But I think the coolest thing after the game was Charlie Furbush and I, we were in the radio booth still doing postgame, and then the Young family, so Cole and his parents and his siblings and other close family members all walked out onto the field and took pictures, and Cole had two cases, one with his first career hit, and then the ball that got through for the game-winning hit. He was holding on to those. It was just like, man, I could not put myself in his shoes. Just the amount of like crazy emotions he probably felt over that 24-hour period from Friday night into Saturday night. I mean, it's not going to get much better than that.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be really hard to top that start to your career. But, yeah, like you said, Stacy, those call-up videos, they've kind of become a new thing in baseball. I remember the Mariners were one of the first to do it with Julio when he got the call-up right out of spring training. One thing Cole Young said in that video that I think I have a hard time believing is that this is so unexpected.
No.
You're a first-round pick, and you were mashing in AAA, okay?
This team has a ton of questions with their infield. They've had a ton of injuries. The other night, you had 5 hits in a game. And You're like, no way, coach. That's crazy.
I think it was pretty expected. Credit to him for being humble about it, but I think we could all see it coming.
That's like when you show up to a surprise party when you knew that it was happening, and you guys, oh my, for me? On my birthday?
What?
That's crazy. Cole. Congratulations to Cole. A very cool moment. Moving on. Following the conclusion of the Eastern Conference Finals, NBA on TNT signed off for the very last time. Cut 12.
Look, the 4 of us, as you've already heard, the 4 of us are going to be together. Our production crew is going to be together. It's going to be that same bunch. We're still going to be shooting that show in Atlanta. It's just going to air somewhere else. And so the craziness that you've seen, the nonsense and the foolishness and the top-notch basketball analysis, all of that stuff's going to be on. It's going to be on ESPN or ABC next year, not on TNT. For that, it's we're sad. But I'm proud to say for the last time, thanks for watching us. It's the NBA on TNT.
Before we go, guys, let's do a mic drop.
NBA on TNT dates back to 1989. 36 years of coverage, Curtis.
It's a bummer. It is a bummer. Now, I know the guys are going to stay together, and the plan is for ESPN to contract that out, and they're going to do like the big broadcasts for ESPN, like Christmas Day, the All-Star Game, a lot of stuff during the NBA playoffs next year. But it's not going to – I don't think it's going to feel the same. I know ESPN's NBA coverage has been severely lacking in terms of like memorable moments, the way that the NBA on TNT just seemed to provide so much more. This is a bummer for sports fans, and it speaks to how good this show is when here in Seattle, people who do not like the NBA and have turned off the NBA almost completely will still, be able to, or will still have memories of this show, because it really has made basketball fans out of just the ordinary people who may not have any sort of interest in the sport. I mean, you're not going to be able to replicate the formula they have with Ernie and Kenny and Chuck and Shaq. I mean, those 4 guys have really put something special together. Yeah. I'm glad they're going to stay together in some capacity, but unfortunately it's not going to be nearly enough, I think, to satisfy the appetite of sports fans everywhere.
Sticking with basketball for this one, how much NIL money do you think Cooper Flagg made during the college basketball season? Whatever you're thinking, it's more. Like, just think of the number and then multiply it. According to longtime sports reporter Howard Bryant, well, take a listen, cut 14.
How much money did Cooper Flagg make this year for 1 year at Duke?
I don't know, but it was a lot.
I know.
You know. What is it, in the millions?
$28 million.
$28 million?
He had a $13 million deal with New Balance and then $15 million with Fanatics.
The gasping in the background really makes it.
$28 million.
$28 million.
That's decent second contract money in the NBA. Like, he's going to make less on his rookie deal in the NBA. Now we know why all these guys are skipping pros and coming back for their senior seasons. You can make more money in college than you can in the pros, especially if you're like a decent college basketball player that probably would be maybe a late first round, early second round pick. Like, there's no reason for you to go pro at this point.
I know we are talking about an future NBA player and a former college hoops player, but if we're applying it to just a number of athletes, we heard John Schneider as part of the interview process, the John Schneider Show, heading up into the draft, talk about how NIL has kind of changed the way they see things. And I don't think that, I don't know, I'm not in there, but Curtis, I doubt players get a knock for having NIL deals. If you're a good player, a great player particularly, you have NIL deals. But how do you think it changes players? players. I mean, you mentioned like, players entering the league being like, wow, I'm suddenly taking a pay cut here. But I mean, what do you think of the impact overall?
I think, and we've heard pro coaches say this, that you get a better idea of what these kids are going to respond to when they get their first big paycheck, because a lot of them have already gotten paid. And I think that's always an important thing to find out when you're a coach. It's like, are they doing this for the love of the game, or are they doing this for money? And obviously we all do our jobs for money. That very few people I know are like, I would do this for free. Like, we do things that we love, but we also love the compensation that comes with it. The compensation that comes with being a professional athlete exceeds anything that any of us can make in regular day-to-day work. Like, and to make that kind of money that these guys make is staggering at times. And I mean, look, Cooper Flagg had the season that he had Duke within, seconds of making the national championship game, making reportedly $28 million in NIL. Like, credit to him for being able to just, say, hey, like, I'm still going to be the best player that I can be, even though I'm making this kind of money. Like, credit to him. But yeah, that's a staggering amount. $28 million in endorsements.
It could be make or break for two potential Seahawks veterans. Plus, I have a follow-up question on those NIL deals for you from listeners. It's all coming your way next.
It's the next phase of the Seahawks offseason. OTAs.
Jansen, he's going 40.
And Seattle sports is all over it.
The Seahawks, they're into it now.
The one thing about Mike McDonald is he knows exactly what he wants to do.
Wyman and Bob are live from the VMAC this afternoon beginning at 2. Complete insider coverage at seattlesports.com, the Seattle Sports YouTube channel, and the Seattle Sports app. We are the home of the Seahawks. Seattle Sports.
Hey guys, did you know that half of men over age 50 have erectile dysfunction on some level? Whether you have mild, moderate, or severe ED, West Coast Men's Health can help. We don't prescribe pills and hope they work. Instead, we treat the root cause of the problem with acoustic wave therapy, which breaks down plaque, unclogs arteries, and restores blood flow. We have treated thousands of men across our 11 locations nationwide and have established ourselves as a leader in the industry. So whether you have ED, Peyronie's disease, or suffer from chronic pain, such as neuropathy, carpal tunnel, or Dupuytren's contracture, West Coast Men's Health can help. No pills, no shots, no surgery, just results.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call West Coast Men's Health at 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
If you want that summer body you've always dreamed of, then this message is for you, ladies, and you men too. Get rid of extra stubborn fat and address areas of loose skin around the waistline, chin, and under the upper arms with ProSculpt, the new one-day instant permanent fat removal and skin tightening treatment. Maybe you've tried the lasers, fat freezing methods, even those new pills, but without the desired results. ProSculpt is different. It's minimally invasive, performed while fully awake, gentle yet powerful. Designed to target the waistline, chin, neck, arms, and thighs, ProSculpt uses FDA-cleared plasma technology to deliver immediate, permanent fat-reducing and skin-tightening results, all in just one visit. If you want that summer body this summer, then you must act now. Go to ProSculpt.com today to schedule your free consultation. Get $250 off. For instant, permanent fat reduction and skin tightening, visit ProSculpt.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13. Delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Need a new roof, a deck, siding, windows? Get up to $3,000 off any new installation. Hi, it's Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. Home projects can add up fast, but we're here to help you save big. Book now and lock in up to $3,000 off in savings. That's $3,000 off any new installation. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free estimate today. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
When you have really good leaders, it makes it easy.
Gia arrived at Lee Johnson after 10 years at another dealership.
You know your job, but then you have people who you can rely on to help you with the big stuff that, you need that support from. And I've gotten that every day with my service manager, with our assistant service manager, with even like our GM and our GSM. The way that, we're now on the showroom together, we are so close-knit just as a department. My service manager here, he's always open to teach you whatever you want to know. He just wants everybody to do good around him, and if somebody wants to learn something, I'm here to do it. And I've never had a service manager like that before. They're really good at promoting from within. That's one thing that I've learned from working here. I see people start out as a lot porter, and people work their way all the way up to being a general manager.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
June is Men's Health Month, and we want to place a special emphasis on prostate cancer awareness and treatment. It's important for men to communicate about issues relating to their health, especially family health history. Prostate cancer has been in the news, and right now I'm joined by Dr. Landis from the Swedish Cancer Institute. Dr. Landis, how common is prostate cancer?
Prostate cancer is very common. About 1 in 8 men will develop prostate cancer here in the U.S. That ends up being about 300,000 cases per year.
How can men test for prostate cancer?
Well, first thing, patients should ask to have PSA screening from their primary care doc. Anyone 50 or over, and if you have a family history starting at 45 is pretty typical.
If diagnosed, why should patients seek out Swedish CyberKnife for treatment?
What we hear from patients all the time is that treatment really was amazing. They didn't have to take time off of work. The side effects are really minimal, and there was minimal interruption in their lives.
Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife. Go to swedish.org/CyberKnife prostate.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Bit of a mixed bag here, Curtis Rogers, and for Michael Bumpus. I want to talk about a Seahawks follow-up from our conversation with Brady, and then an NIL follow-up from a listener on the text line. So let's get to it. Pick your poison. Where do you want to start, Seahawks or NIL?
Ooh, let's maybe continue the NIL.
NIL, yeah, not much of a break there. That way we'll just dive right back in. So this was sent during our last segment when you were talking about Cooper Flagg making $28 million in NIL deals during his time in college before he goes to the pros, taking a bit of a pay cut now when he's going to be part of an NBA team. And we were talking about the ways that we think players, getting NIL deals might impact not just the recruiting and scouting process, but just their transition to the league, them as people, their mindsets. You got a question from a listener who said, do we need a cap? So I wanted to ask you, do you think there should be a cap? And also, what would a cap even look like? Is it fair?
Right. Well, I believe these colleges are going to get that $20 million payment from the NCAA soon, which can kind of act as a cap in terms of what these universities can pay out. But it might be impossible or close to impossible to cap the earning potential of these kids when it comes to endorsement deals rather than just what they're receiving from these schools. A cap would make things more fair, sure, in terms of what these rosters can look like and what you can add to it, and maybe it gives the little guys a little more weight to throw around in terms of competition, in terms of keeping up with the Power Four guys. But I just there is so little in terms of guidelines with all this. It just feels like whoever was in charge of keeping this thing in order, as soon as the federal government was basically like, you know what, you can start paying everybody, then they were like, all right, you guys asked for this. I don't need to be here anymore.
It's kind of like that friend who, like, if you're the friend who's always in charge of planning something, and then you plan one trip where one too many people complain, you snap, and then you go, yeah, have fun planning the next one without me. And then it's all chaos. Dinner reservations aren't made, things fall apart, plane tickets aren't for the same flight, and and you're like, yeah, it's nice, isn't it? I feel like that's
that
the
feels real
NCAA.
good. Yeah.
I swear to God, I think the NCAA very intentionally removed whatever bumpers they would have put on there, and they were like, go to town. And if it's a gutter ball, it's that's on you.
It does, yes. Another example of that is when your kids have driven you to the absolute brink, and you just don't even care anymore. You're like, fine, have ice cream for dinner. I don't care.
You're not going to feel great when you're getting sick, are you?
Exactly. And right now, us college sports fans have been eating ice cream for every meal for the last couple of years, and we're like,
and we're feeling a little sick.
Yeah, like I could really use.
I could use some vegetables.
Yeah, I could use some vegetables. I could use some protein. This is enough. Enough.
Right. And maybe the vegetables and the protein looks like some guidelines on. Yes, a cap on NIL deals. Maybe it looks like new transfer rules where you're basically Bumps introduced this idea also, like maybe you're signing contracts. Maybe it looks like schools that lose players to NIL deals getting a portion of money in that return back, so that if you're a student with Wazoo, part of that athletic program, you don't feel like you're developing quarterbacks that just go on to get plucked out of your organization.
Right.
You're like, I don't want to be a farm system. Like, I want to be able to get something back here.
Well, I think that's an interesting idea too, kind of like a buyout. I mean, these are contracts that they're signing. If you're in the corporate world and you're a contract worker with your employer, and you get an offer to go somewhere else, like there's going to have to be a buyout that's paid, right? Whether it be you or your future employer paying that buyout. So I don't think that exists in a lot of these NIL cases. So maybe that's something that if a school wants to go after a kid that is currently on an NIL deal that pays them pretty handsomely, okay, but you've got to fork over the cash to pay out the rest of that NIL deal plus whatever it is you want to pay for them. It's how the coaching market is. It's how the coaching carousel is. If there's a coach out there that you want and is currently under contract, you have to pay that buyout. Why can't that extend to the players too?
Someone said, wait a minute, are we now complaining college athletes are staying in school? No, I think it's just that the introduction of players benefiting from their names, images, and likeness is, I still think, the right thing, but without any guidelines has become kind of a circus. So it's not complaining that players are still staying in school, because players that can go early on in a draft, no matter what deals they're getting at the college level, they ultimately are going to want to be pros. So Cooper Flagg isn't going to be like, I'm making more here at Duke, I'm going to stay here. Absolutely not. He's going to go to the pros. But it's more about, well, have we created even less parity in an already very unequal playing field in college sports? Let's see. Do we have time quickly? I wanted to get to it just since I teased it, so I don't want it to be a waste of time. The Seahawks note sticking with me, Curtis, from our conversation with Brady Henderson, was his note about Noah Fant, saying, look, you can save, in theory, not save, but you'll have an extra $9 million in your cap. I think you still carry some dead money. And moving on from Noah Fant, he has a pretty sizable cap hit this year for a tight end who's not really giving you a ton of production. However, that also means betting on a younger group of tight ends to get things done. So even if you're not super happy with Noah Fant, and what he's producing for you, he's still a veteran who's been there, done that. So you're making a little bit of a bet. I had him and Kenny McIntosh for two very different reasons, two very different players, positions, and contracts, as guys kind of looking over their shoulder in camp this year.
I think it's very fair to have those two sort of on the hot seat here. Kenny Mack entering year 3. And you draft Damien Martinez, a very accomplished college running back. Yes, it was in the 7th round, but also I think Martinez comes with a reputation of being a guy who can run between the tackles, kind of do a little bit more of the traditional things you ask of a running back. So I think Martinez definitely is going to be under consideration for probably a 53-man roster spot this season for sure. And then you mentioned Noah Fant. Yeah, I think pressure's on him. You take A.J. Barner in last year's draft. You take Elijah Arroyo in the second round. You don't take a second-round tight end and sit them normally. That's usually a spot where you're going to see him out on the field, probably pushing for a starting job at some point this season. And if Noah Fant isn't there for that, then I would say Arroyo is probably your de facto starter just based off of him being a second-round pick. So, you've got a pretty good second-year tight end in Barner. A second-round pick in Elijah Arroyo. Pressure's definitely on Noah Fant heading into this season.
Another series win for the Mariners. 2 big walk-offs, but lots of questions. Let's bring on Seattle Times reporter Adam Jude next.
What a weekend.
Swinging a ground ball up the middle, base hit.
The Mariners' resilient shine.
A walk-off single. Julio scores.
The big dumper unloads.
Cal Raleigh does it again.
Tomorrow night, the homestand continues with a first of 3 against the Orioles at T-Mobile Park. First pitch at 6:40 on the home of the Mariners and the AL West race. Seattle Sports on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with my buddy Dave Taylor from First Mark Insurance. You know, Dave, I love sport. You love sport. And I love sitting with coaches and hearing their game plan each and every week. What are the keys to a First Mark Insurance game plan?
It's a great question, Brock. I think there's really 3 keys to a great game plan with us. Number 1 is we want to make sure that our clients have the correct coverage for their unique specific needs. So that's number 1. Do you have the right coverage? Number 2, once we have the right coverage, are we getting that coverage at the most competitive price possible? And then last and not least would be, once we have the right coverage at the most competitive price, are we providing world-class service to those customers so that when they need it, they have someone there that's got their back?
Those are the 3 keys to a First Mark Challenge victory. And man, am I so glad Molly and I took the challenge. We are one of so many through a decade plus of being a First Mark Challenge victory. You can too. Just simply go to firstmarkinsurance.com. Firstmarkinsurance.com.
Spring is back. Our bats are back. Is your postnasal drip and congestion back as well? Hi, this is Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. We are a proud national center of excellence for helping hundreds of patients with Rynair. For those of you sick of searching for another allergy medication, Rynair is a minimally invasive procedure that significantly reduces postnasal drip, congestion, and stuffiness after only 1 treatment. Come see us in Auburn or Federal Way. Book your appointment at sternsinus.com. That's sternsinus.com.
Auto Lock Masters reminds parents the fatal crash rate for teens peaks at age 19, and we lose nearly 8 kids every day. Please make a family agreement to never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, text behind the wheel, or ride with anyone who is. Always designate a sober driver, call a parent or rideshare, and let's bring our sons and daughters home safely. Best wishes to the class of 2025 from the entire team at Auto Lock Masters ALM, the family-owned automotive key specialist, proudly serving the greater Seattle area. Online at autolockmasters.com.
Do you have a car you'd like to sell but don't want to go through all the hassle? With all the scams and security risks out there, more and more people are uncomfortable selling their own car. So how do you get the most money for your used car without selling it yourself? Stacy here with the answer. Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Not only will they purchase your car and pay you right up front for it, but it gets way better. Once they resell your old car, they share half the profit with you. The question I get most from my friends and colleagues is, what's the catch? And how can they offer this? It's super simple. All the money they save by not traveling to buy cars at auctions, like purchase fees, shipping, and travel expenses, is what allows them to offer this. They'd rather share that money they save with you than outside vendors. They encourage you to shop around, but if Wayscar Ford can pay you the same or more as their competitors and then share half their profit with you once they resell your car, why would you sell your car anywhere else? They've already shared over $800,000 with customers, and it's only at Wayscar Ford. That's wayscarford.com, Wayscar Ford in Auburn.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every success you've had began with a great opportunity. Now there's another one. Last aid year, University of Maryland Global Campus awarded over $21 million in scholarships to qualified students, including community college students, service members, veterans, and working adults. Now is the time to move your career forward with an online and accredited skills-based education. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like fences. A house with a big yard and a white picket fence was always the dream. But then you saw the price to install a fence and you're wondering if the color is driving the price up. Nobody ever dreams of a beige or a gray picket fence, right? So maybe those fences are cheaper. But no, they're not. Then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds and make all your dreams of a fence come true. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Lions All-Pro center Frank Ragnow surprisingly announced his retirement from the NFL this morning, citing a need to prioritize his health and family. The 29-year-old has dealt with injuries over the last few seasons, including a partially torn pec last year. The Mariners took a series win from the Twins thanks to walk-off singles from both Cole Young and Randy Arozarena. We'll talk about that with Adam Jude coming up in 30 seconds.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Seattle Times Mariners reporter Adam Jude joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. I messed up my own snapshot, Adam, because I realized it wasn't a walk-off single for Cole Young. I don't even know what it was. A walk-off fielder's choice. It was a walk-off from Cole Young. We're going to start with Cole, who had a really fun debut. Tell us a bit about what you saw from him and what that game was like, and also whether or not you had a chance to talk to him.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I went down to Tacoma on Thursday night, saw his last full game there in AAA for the Rainiers, and he had a walk-off fielder's choice in that one too in the bottom of the ninth. So, 2 days later, his first big league game, and he does the same exact thing. I think he even said it was like basically the same exact pitch too, same exact scenario, kind of a three-hopper softly hit to the first baseman, and does just enough to get that run in from third base, and that's all you're trying to do there in that situation. So, he certainly looks like through small sample size of two short games here, but it looks like he belongs here early on. Looking fine at second base, and a nice left-handed swing. He did such a great job throughout his minor league career. Of really getting on base at such a high rate. I want to say at like a 380 or 388 on base percentage for his minor league career. That skyrocketed here over the last month in AAA Tacoma as well. And I think that, as much as anything, is why the Mariners thought this was the right time to bring it up. He's really hot right now, but he's working at bats. He's taking his walks when he's not getting hits or pitches to hit, and that's what you want out of somebody hitting at the bottom of your lineup. Maybe someday he'll be a guy in the top half of your lineup, but for right now, with where this team is at and what they need and the injuries that they've had, they're hoping for a little bit of a spark from him. And I think the good thing with the situation they're in is they don't need him to come in and be a guy or the guy by any means. Just he's going to hit 8 or 9, and again, if he can get some quality at bats and keep finding the barrel on the ball, like. That's all they need from him, with solid defense, and I think that's a reasonable enough expectation even for a guy at 21 years old who's one of the youngest guys in the majors right now.
Adam, part of your journey to Ryan Divish's stomping grounds was Logan Gilbert's rehab start with Tacoma. How did he look in that one?
He looks really good. I mean, the numbers, you always have to kind of take rehab starts and spring as sort of like spring training starts, right? He's just wanting to feel good. He said he let it rip. He got up to, I think, 97, almost 97 in the first inning with his fastball. And he said that's what he was looking for, just to see if he could let loose and feel good. And I think that's what he did. So mission accomplished in that regard. I think he got up to 45 pitches. So I haven't heard the specific plan for the next step for him this week, but he is expected to make another rehab start for Tacoma later this week. And at that point, if he's able to progress up to 60, 65 pitches, and if he's feeling strong, more importantly, then maybe we'll see his next start after that, back here in Seattle with the big league club. And at that point, you're looking at the rotation back to full strength, right? George came back a couple weeks ago. Bryce just came back on Saturday, and the next step is getting your opening day starter in Logan Gilbert. And boy, what that could mean for the Mariners. Obviously they've just been trying to stay afloat here. You get 60% of your rotation out for a period of time. Obviously, that's going to be tough for anyone. But for the Mariners to be able to kind of do what they're doing, to hang on to first place in the AL West, I think they've done a lot better, let's say, than I expected them to over the last month. That's for sure.
Adam, Curtis, and I talked about the things we liked, loved, and loathed from the series against the Twins, and we both had the same answer for what we didn't like, which was just kind of bullpen implosions. I'm trying to make sense of it. I know that bullpens can be fickle, that the Mariners have had some pretty good luck there and some pretty uncommon consistency. So is what we're seeing kind of a regression to the mean where this just happens? Is this a usage management issue? What are you sensing from what we've seen with some of these issues?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think when you even go back to the beginning of the season and really throughout April, because of the injuries to the starting rotation, that bullpen was throwing more innings than any bullpen in baseball early on in the season too. So at some point you feel like that's going to come back to bite you, and maybe that's what they're going through right now. Part of it is Andres Munoz was just so otherworldly there for the first 6 weeks of the season or whatever. I mean, at some point, like you said, it's just baseball, right? It was a couple soft hits against Munoz and then one home run, and just didn't quite have it. It wasn't quite as sharp or whatever. I mean, you're not going to be perfect every night out, of course, especially when, he's been asked to do quite a bit here early in the season as well. I think we forget too, like, I know Trent Thornton isn't probably everybody's favorite reliever out of the bullpen, but he's been a valuable piece for these guys the last couple of years. He's been out the last 3 weeks, so they've asked other guys to kind of step up in different roles. Carlos Vargas has had a really strong start to the season, but again, they've asked so much of him. Casey Legomina has really stepped up and maybe been in a different role that he's never really been in before in his career too. So yeah, I think it's a great point there, Stacy. At some point, the regression to the mean a little bit, but I think it's a talented group in that bullpen. At the same time, as we flip the calendar here to June, July is not that far away, which means that we're already starting to hear a lot of trade deadline chatter. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're kind of looking around and seeing what bullpen arms are available, what they might be able to get to really kind of lock down that eighth inning role. We've seen how valuable Matt Brash is already in his first month back, but he is just so good in that pivot role where they need him to come in at the end of the sixth inning or the seventh inning. Obviously, he can be that eighth inning guy, but if they're able to find another veteran who they feel confident in that eighth inning role, I think that's maybe as much as anything that this team needs right now. We'll see. They've got time, obviously. They've got options, and I think it's fair to kind of question what the plan is for the next couple months. But if the Mariners have proved anything over the last handful of years, it's generally they know what they're doing with pitching, right? And they seem to find these hidden gems out of the bullpen. Maybe it's just a small tweak here or there with a couple of these guys, and they'll get right back on track.
Adam, one prospect call-up is never enough for some of these people out here. And you got Cole Young on the roster now. People want to know, when can we expect to see Harry Ford? And it may not be so simple, obviously, because Cal Raleigh's your starting catcher, but is there a spot for him on the big league roster? It seems like, just doing the math right now, I don't see it.
Yeah, it is a different scenario, Cole Young versus Harry Ford. They're two guys they've grown really close the last few years. Harry was the first-round pick for the Mariners in 2021. Cole Young was a first-round pick in 2022, and they've really kind of grown up together in the Mariners system, staying together at each stop. And I have little doubt they'll be together in the big leagues here soon enough. But again, it's just not as clear cut with Harry Ford because he's a catcher and because the Mariners, last I checked, have a pretty good catcher already here at the big league level in Cal Raleigh. So yeah, I've gotten lots of questions over the last week or so. What are they going to do with Harry Ford? Can he play left field? Can he fill in at first base a little bit? Those are all reasonable questions. When I was down in Tacoma on Thursday, we talked to him, and I give Harry a lot of credit. He's pretty adamant. I'm a catcher. He's obviously put a ton into that. I think he's been catching since he was 9 years old. He sees himself as a future big league catcher, and good for him. It's just when it comes to evaluating catchers, and particularly defensively and how they call the game, it's just such a hard thing for anyone to assess. And I think whether you're an opposing scout or even internally with the Mariners, it's, how is he working with the pitchers? What's he like calling games? And that's just one of those things. It's really challenging. And particularly for a young catcher, it takes so much more time and so much more energy and effort for those guys to really round into shape in that regard. So it's a really hard thing to say, okay, now he's ready. He's gotten there. It's constantly evolving depending on where you're at and where the team's at and the pitching staff is at. So I don't know how close he is, but his numbers, if you just look at his straight numbers in AAA, they're as good, if not better, than what Cole Young has been doing this season. And so I think that he could help the Mariners, and I think I can say with confidence that he'll be up at some point this summer with the Mariners. Where he ends up, what he ends up doing, is still up for debate. But I know the Mariners look at him as a catcher as well. They've obviously got a couple good ones there in Cal Raleigh and Mitch Garver as well, who's as good as any backup catcher. Say what you will about him and some of the disappointment I know Mariners fans have with, the free agent signing, but that's as good of a 1-2 combination as any team really in the majors right now. Probably the best when you just take into account everything Cal is doing right now. So I don't know exactly where the fit is or when it's going to happen, but the Mariners, it's a good problem to have, right? You have too many good catchers. I know the Mariners will look at, sort of a couple days a week sort of options with Harry as sort of a backup type role with Cal at some point, and you could give Cal a couple more maybe DH days at some point. Again, I don't think they have it completely mapped out, but it's a good problem to have, and one I know that they've been discussing internally, and in fact, in the next couple of days, I'll kind of detail that out in a story I have planned here too in the Seattle Times, kind of diving into that a little bit more. But Harry Ford will be up at some point pretty soon, and he will be catching for the Mariners at some point pretty soon as well.
Adam, if we were to take a picture of the Mariners for the season, one of the stories would be the offense is much better than we thought it would be. That strikeouts are down. Obviously, Cal Raleigh is having a phenomenal season, and there's a lot to like, and they've had some pretty nice stretches of play. If you were to take a snapshot for the last 15 days, I think it would tell a slightly different story about the offense, and maybe they're fortunate the bullpen has kind of fallen apart at times because there's been lots of questions there. How would you describe the more recent iteration of the Mariners offense we've seen, and what are some questions or thoughts that you have about this group?
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, you mentioned earlier regression to the mean. Maybe that's part of this too. We talk so much about Julio Rodriguez and, kind of the July, August version of Julio, and will that arrive a little bit earlier this year? And he's honestly had the best, start to the season these first 2 months that he has at any point in his career. So maybe that's a good sign that, his breakout will happen a little earlier, maybe in June this year. Again, as the weather is heated up, so has Julio historically his first 3 years here too. So that said, there's not as much pressure on Julio this year because of what Cal's doing and because of the start, because of the April, Jorge Polanco had, and because some of the production from Randy Arozarena, some of the things they were able to do early on from the bottom of the lineup. Again, that said, the strikeouts have started to spike a little bit. They haven't been quite as consistent. They haven't been, as aggressive on the base paths lately. Again, part of that, some of the injuries. I'm curious to see when Luke Raley comes back, probably in the next couple of weeks, what does that look like for Leody Taveras? What does that look like for, first base situation too? Lots of questions coming up here too, but certainly they need their offense to be a little more consistent. They have been obviously a lot better on the road than they have been at home, and that's understandable given the nature and the challenges of hitting at T-Mobile Park historically. So I'm curious to see, they're going on the road this next weekend down to Anaheim and to Phoenix as well. It'll be an interesting road trip for them. Do they get hot again? Can they carry that over when they get home here a little bit? And as the weather starts to get a little more consistently warmer here in Seattle, we've typically seen the Mariners bats again heat up too. So again, they're going through a little bit of a lull right now. I think the one thing, if you're a Mariner fan, that you like to hear from Dan Wilson, from Cal Raleigh, from all these guys pretty consistently in the first 2 months is like, look, we're okay. It's a long season. I know it's cliche and I know it's boring. They say it all the time, but that's kind of what you want to hear from your baseball team. It's like they're not riding this roller coaster of emotions. Fans were irate. If you check your mentions, you check in my mentions on Twitter, like 3 straight losses. They implode in the 10th inning on 2 straight nights. Like it's the end of the world. Season's over. It's like, guys, calm down. Like I think it's okay to follow Cal Raleigh's lead. It's okay to listen to Dan Wilson as trite as it might sound. Like they're really steady. They show up every day. Dan Wilson's the same guy every day. That's the thing you hear from teammates and coaches and the players all the time. It's like, we're not getting too caught up in the emotions, whether they're doing really well or they're doing really poorly, whether it went great the night before or whether they blew it. Like they show up every day with the same mentality. They know they're a good team. They're confident in themselves. And that's what gets you through a 6-month season. It's such a grind. And if you're allowing yourself to get caught up and get so high on yourself or get so down, it's going to spiral at some point. And I think you like to hear that if you're a Mariner fan, that these guys they're pretty steady. They're following Cal's lead. And I think as much as anyone in baseball right now, that's the guy you want to be leading, right?
All right, Seattle Times reporter Adam Jude. Adam, you mentioned in your interview with us that you're working on something. Last, 20 seconds here. What should we keep our eyes out for?
I appreciate that, Stacy. Yeah, no, like I said, I had a good conversation with Harry Ford last week down there. Lots of questions about, what his place might be short-term and long-term with the Mariners. So we'll be diving into that a little bit here this week. So appreciate the plug. Thank you, Stacy.
Love it. We can't wait to read it. Seattle Times reporter Adam Jude. Thanks, Adam. Have a good
Adam.
one.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, read all about it. Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, it's going to be the Pacers and Thunder in the NBA Finals, with Oklahoma City opening as the 7th biggest favorite ever, according to Las Vegas. What's the real headline?
The NBA will get a first-time champ no matter what.
That's right. No two-time champ.
Nope. Honestly, I think only the NBA, maybe the NBA might formally try to say that as part of their presumably award ceremony that they're eventually going to have, because I'm favoring OKC as well as everyone else. But I think that fans see it as their first time.
Yeah. I don't think anybody who would consider themselves a ball knower would consider Oklahoma City a previous champion. I know the NBA, every team that has won a championship wears this little gold patch on their back collar. Oklahoma City does not wear one. So I think that's a good thing. I'm just trying to prepare myself for what kind of feels inevitable here. I'm rooting my darndest for the Pacers. Vroom, vroom, as we say.
Yeah.
Us Pacers fans.
Go Pace. Go.
Set the pace, baby.
Set the pace.
Yeah, there we go. And that pace.
Pace of play.
Yeah.
Pace of
Keep
play.
it going, boys. It feels almost inevitable that this will be OKC coming away with the crown, which hate to say, but shout out to Mike Lefko, the only Pacers fan I know. I think that's the only Pacers fan pretty much everybody in our listening audience knows.
I think it's the only one that exists. It's just Mike Lefko against a wall of OKC fans. What's so interesting is juxtaposing what we're going to see in the NBA Finals with what we're going to see in the Stanley Cup Finals, where you have two repeat teams, like two teams, the exact same finals face-off from last season, once again meeting this year with the Panthers, a third-time visit looking for back-to-back championships.
Yeah,
it's more of like what we've already seen before
right.
in the NHL versus in NBA's finals this year. It's someone's winning for the first time.
Well, and you get kind of the juggernaut vibes, too, in the Stanley Cup Finals. You mentioned the three-time Eastern Conference champion Florida Panthers, and then Connor McDavid, who won playoff MVP in a losing effort last year.
One of 6 players ever.
I remember watching that ceremony, and like he didn't want the trophy. He wanted the cup, and
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, that would be such a hollow feeling, winning playoff MVP in a losing effort. But I'm excited for that finals. We'll have John Buccigross coming up at 1:30 today to talk some puck, talk some Kraken off season. That'll be fun.
What's next?
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, the Mariners this morning announced they will retire Randy Johnson's number 51 jersey in a 2026 ceremony. What's the real headline?
With Ichiro's 51 getting retired this summer, I think it's fair to say that number will be hella extremely out of rotation.
Yeah,
Bump would say.
No one's ever wearing 51 in a Mariners uniform. Could you imagine like Colt Emerson or like Laz Montez coming up?
Abdul Carter calling.
Yeah,
Hey.
be like, can I wear 51?
I've tried with 56.
You've got 2
I've
people
tried with
to
a
call.
couple other numbers. I'm just checking to see what might be available anywhere from any team.
You've got
in
2
any
people
league.
to call now, which is pretty rare. I think Alex Mayer, of course it's Alex Mayer. Who
Of
else would
course.
it be? He
That
tabulated every team that has the same number retired by 2 people. I think it's only like 5 or 6 teams that have that distinction. It looks to me like the Yankees have number 42 retired by Jackie Robinson and Mariano Rivera, which, I mean, that's a pretty good duo. The Cubs number 31 with Fergie Jenkins and Greg Maddux. That's a pretty good duo as well. So, I mean, you've got to be the best of the best to have this happen. And Randy Johnson, I mean, he's one of the forgotten, I think, super duper stars in Seattle sports history. He was so good in a Mariners uniform. Cool to see him get this honor. I think very deserving. And it reminded me, Stacy, I don't know if you've ever viewed the 1995 highlight VHS tape that was available only at Eagle Hardware and Garden, more of everything around here back in the 90s. But it reminded me of these 2 baseball bros that they cut to in this movie, and their chant, it's great. Big unit! Big unit! Big unit! Just chanting big unit with your with your buddies.
Slightly off from one another.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, officially as of yesterday, Bill Belichick's buyout at North Carolina has dropped down to $1 million. What's the real headline?
And that's $1 million more than each of his kids will get if his girlfriend has anything to say about it.
Dang. It's true, though.
Yeah.
Well, at least we think it's true. She's got her hands on everything with Bill Belichick's life.
Do you know how furious I'd be as one of his kids, all of whom are older than her, by the way, by like at least a decade? How furious you'd be as one of his kids if like she becomes like overseer
Inherits
of his
everything?
will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least Steve Belichick will probably get the North Carolina job if Bill were to move on at some point. Like, that just kind of seems like the order of succession. I feel like Steve Belichick is his favorite child because he's coached with him at every stop along the way. But does his love for his own son supersede his maybe infatuation with Jordan Hudson? I don't know.
I don't know.
Is it real love?
Look,
Who
all
can
of us
say?
know someone who's been lost in the sauce. You know
It's
what
true.
I mean? It's just sometimes that doesn't happen in your 70s.
Do you think that Bill Belichick's inner circle is like trying to keep it nice with him? But maybe the second that these two split apart, we all have this friend where they come to you and be like, hey, so-and-so and I, we broke up. You're like, dude, finally, like
1,000%. I think
it's about time.
Yes, I think. In fact, I listened to that full Pablo Torre podcast. First of all, Pablo Torre Finds Out is a phenomenal podcast, but then he has 2 more specifically about this relationship. And the first one that we listened to, that we cited on the show, that was the original one that made headlines saying that UNC had banned Jordan Hudson. As part of that, he talks about how all the people in Bill Belichick's inner circle, like all these coaches he's taken everywhere with him, all of these people are just kind of yes men, and that there are so many whisperings of people being disapproving of this relationship and feeling like he's being taken advantage of, but no one has said anything because everyone around him is a yes man. Again, this is basically celebrity gossip. Take it with a grain of salt, but as a lover of reality TV, I certainly enjoyed listening, and I can also buy it. I can buy that people around Bill Belichick just don't want to push themselves. They don't want to knock themselves from that tree.
No.
So they'd rather not shake it than say anything at all.
You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Taking a look around the NFL next. Don't go anywhere.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one, the only, John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software, upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 6/22/25. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Need a new roof now? With State Roofing and Exteriors, you can get started with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's right. Protect your home now and pay later. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today.
Hey, baseball fans, Rick Riz here. I'm excited to introduce you to my good friend Keith Dashafee, owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Keith?
Thanks, Rick. At Pella Windows and Doors, we pride ourselves on delivering top-quality windows and doors that enhance the beauty and energy efficiency of your home. Our products are built to last with innovative designs and exceptional craftsmanship. Whether you're looking to upgrade your windows or install new doors, Pella has you covered.
That's fantastic, Keith. Don't wait. Schedule your free appointment today at PellaPNW.com.
Heading to the ball game? Don't mess with traffic and pricey parking fees. Make it easy and ride the bus. It's affordable and convenient. No stress, no hassle. And plenty of time to grab a hot dog before first pitch. Community Transit makes riding the bus fun, easy, and affordable. You save money on parking, and kids under 18 ride for free. See where they can take you and plan your trip today. Go to Community Transit at ctgo.org/home run.
Hey 12s, Steve Rabel here, voice of your Seattle Seahawks. The wait is over, and tickets are on sale now for our historic 50th season. This season is going to be legendary, with past, present, and future colliding at Lumen Field. Get your tickets today at Seahawks.com/tickets.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
The home of the Mariners.
One hopper snared at short. Not a quick hop by J.P. Crawford. That guy's a magician over there at shortstop.
Seattle Sports.
Download the Seattle Sports app.
You've heard the saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Since 1926, my family's been helping local businesses make great first, second, and long-term impressions. We know how to make your company look good with quality uniforms, logoed apparel, floor mats, linens, and more. If you're paying for linen service or doing it yourself, let's have the conversation. The information and quote are free, but the savings and service can really add up. Visit suplinen.com. Superior Linen Service. It's what we do.
LeeJohnson.com is a dynamic research tool.
We want to give the customer enough information to where they don't have to go anywhere else to research any of the questions they have. And if they want more information, we'd love to be there to help. We don't want them to feel like they're dependent on emailing us or texting us or calling us just to get the information they need. So we put it all out there. We call them digital retailing tools, big fancy calculators where you can get in there and change the terms and change the payments and change the cash down. And it'll give you a disclosure of, hey, when you do this, this means here. And a consumer can get on there and do a lot of this themselves. And then if they choose to get us involved, we can actually get involved on the backside of it and help them along the way. We want to give the consumer the same tools that we have and let them understand what we understand.
Yup, that's pretty much what you'd expect. The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
June is Men's Health Month, and we want to place a special emphasis on prostate cancer awareness and treatment. Prostate cancer can be silent. It's important to get checked, even if you have no symptoms. Ask your primary care doc for a PSA screening if you're 50 or over, and 45 if there's a family history. If you or someone you know is diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider treatment at Swedish Cyberknife right here in Seattle. It only takes 5 short treatment sessions. Go to swedish.org/cyberknife prostate.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Taking a look around the NFL, we're going to start with Lumen Field. Per multiple reports, Lumen will be receiving close to $20 million in improvements ahead of the 2026 World Cup. The biggest change will be adding seats back to the Hawks' Nest. The World Cup will be played on a natural grass field, but it's not expected to be kept for the 2026 NFL season. Curtis, I'm sure some players are going to be disappointed to hear that.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a big sticking point with the players. But seatbacks to the Hawks' Nest, that's sacrilege, right? That's supposed to be where the diest of the diehards sit. And, now you're getting basically chairs. Unless they just add the metal seat backs like they do to some bleacher seats, but I don't know.
You mean like a bench
kind
of back?
like a bench you'd see at, I don't know, like in a dugout at a city park or something like that.
I feel like to add seat backs, you'd have to completely take it. It would have to be every brand new seats. Just entirely, rather than, got to be a bench back.
Where else? I mean, they've done a lot of renovations at Lumen in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
They've redid like a lot of the club levels. They've redid the tunnels for sure.
The
coming
press
out to the
box.
stadium. Yeah, the press box. That's
Not
where
that anyone listening cares, but that was redone to make it bigger.
That's right. I'm excited to see, what the World Cup is going to look like here next year. But that's kind of strange. I just always assumed that it was going to be bleacher seats up there, but I believe, as Pro Football Talk says in their article about this, it's a FIFA rule that stadiums have to have a full complement of individual seats with backs. So I don't know why that's a FIFA rule. But
I don't know. Maybe because some tickets are so I don't know.
Maybe.
I can't even pretend to dive into this. I was going to put up a theory, but I have no idea.
Maybe.
I want to look into this more. Let's jump to another NFL story here. We're going to the AFC East. Could cutting Stephon Diggs actually be on the table for the New England Patriots? Patriots radio analyst Scott Zolak floated that possibility. Cut 13.
Do I think he should be cut?
Yeah, you.
No, I don't.
I do not.
I came to this show yesterday with the but the knowledge of that it is on the table, that it is being thought of. And it's not just the boat. There's some other things that I've heard. That's all. That puts some things in question. Are you all in here? The videos look great of him working out. I've touted the videos. I know you need diva receivers. I say he shouldn't be cut because I think he would help Drake May in this offense.
Now, Scott, I need you to hint at the other things that you've heard so I know exactly what to read into or not. Because if you're like, I've heard that he doesn't like taking direction, he's going to be an absolute nightmare, blah, blah, blah. If you're just hearing that Diggs can be a little bit of a diva. That's already been established.
Right.
We
And
already know that to be
how
true.
many diva receivers have there been in NFL history?
Well,
hundreds.
yeah, thank you. And I'm sorry, Patriots. Last time I checked, you could use a diva receiver or any receiver. So, like, I don't know that I'd be so quick. There's just a certain level of behavior that as a Patriots team with a young quarterback who, like, desperately needed pass catchers, I would be willing to put up with.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to cut bait on Stephon Diggs after this one incident. I believe Zolak is referring to the fact that Diggs has not passed a physical yet with the Patriots. I think they signed it with him still in recovery from his torn ACL, and I think if he doesn't pass a physical by a certain date, then they're off the hook for like the entirety of his contract. But like you said, the Patriots are not in a place to where they can turn down this kind of talent, especially when he's healthy. And if I'm Drake May and I'm trying to establish myself as an NFL quarterback, a starting NFL quarterback, I am banging on Josh McDaniels' door. I'm banging on Mike Vrabel's door and saying, you cannot let this guy get out of the building to help my career out.
I think it's really interesting because it did take a while for Diggs to sign. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was like Adams goes quickly, and then there's that long wait of like, well, I guess Diggs is still available. What's going to happen with him? Where is he going to go? He was recently successful. Like prior to going to Houston, getting hurt, everyone was like, oh my God, like, you know, what's going to go? Obviously, there was some drama with the Bills, of course, but and previously drama with the Vikings. Like I get it, it's followed him. Sure, like that's not news to anyone, but he's also continued to produce. And I think a number of NFL teams, the vast majority of NFL teams, are willing to put up with a lot from a player if that guy is giving you 1,000 yards consistently a season.
True.
I guess it only becomes a problem if he can't.
I do think this might be Stephon Diggs' kind of final shot as a number one receiver in the NFL, because he burned the bridges in Buffalo, didn't have a healthy season in Houston. Here in New England, I mean, there's really no other takers for his throne of the number one receiver. So this is it, and hopefully he kind of understands the magnitude of that, because I don't see any other teams maybe take a shot on him after this season if things don't go smoothly.
No, and you kind of got to adapt after that, because you can either be a formerly great receiver who retired and is partying, or a current great receiver who is partying. You simply cannot be a receiver getting 270 receiving yards partying on a yacht. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you got to be kind of like one or the other. It's like wearing a tinted visor. You know what I mean? Like, you just kind of have to have a resume in order to do it. Lions All-Pro center Frank Ragnow is retiring from the NFL at the age of 29. This is the post that he posted to social media announcing his retirement. He said, the past couple months have been very trying as I've come to the realization that my football journey is ending and I'm officially retiring from the NFL. I've tried to convince myself I'm feeling good, but I'm not, and it's time to prioritize my health and my family's future. I've given this team everything I have. I thought I had more to give, but the reality is I simply don't. I have to listen to my body, and this has been one of the hardest decisions of my life. Then he went on to thank the Lions organization and saying it was an honor to play for them.
Man, 29. That is so early to be retiring from the NFL, but good on him to prioritize his health in this instance. That's something that you're going to need in your post-playing days, and if he felt like he was pushed to the edge, pushed to the brink, and didn't have confidence that his body was going to respond properly during this season, then yeah, credit to him for being able to get out while the getting's good, because you don't want to do anything that could harm yourself post-playing days.
He's had some crazy injuries as well. I talked about it in 4 Down Territory, but in 2020 he had a fractured throat. Like, that's not just like I have this nagging ankle injury. It's like he couldn't talk for a while. He joked about using it as an excuse with his wife, being like, I'm so sorry, I can't help with the dishes. I didn't hear you. You didn't hear me say I couldn't do it. Frank Ragnow also falls into a pool of players I have that are younger than I think they are. Who else is in your pool of players that are like years younger than you think? And it's just, I don't know what it is. Maybe they, like Jadeveon Clowney's in that pool. He came into the league very young, who are just significantly younger than in my mind I think they are.
Yeah, I thought Frank Ragnow was like 34, 35.
Yeah, easily. Well, offensive linemen, I just add 5 years to however old they are, and in my mind, that's how old they are.
Yeah.
Bray Zabel, for instance, is
He's
currently
31
27.
years old. Yeah.
He's 31 years old.
I mean, guys that it feels like they've been around for a long time, but actually, Kyle Pitts is one where I feel like he's maybe 29,
He's still
30
in his
years
rookie
old.
contract.
Right, I think he's only like 25, maybe, if that. DK Metcalf is another guy that people tend to think is a lot older than what he is because he's on his third deal in the NFL. I think he's, turning 27 this year?
Yeah, I think that we just do that thing of like, well, and he's getting older, and then you go, well, wait a minute.
Wait, he's
he's
actually not. He's still very young.
He's actually not. He could still, and I know you've got miles on, but like he could still have his career best year. That could still be ahead of him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know that our next player is one of those for me, but we'll go ahead and get to the story. Micah Parsons sat out the second week of Cowboys OTAs.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing the tap dance with Jerry Jones. Like, who's gonna blink first? Who's going to give in and acquiesce in these negotiations? I think ultimately Parsons is going to get the payday he's looking for. I think he's going to reset the market in terms of defensive players. Like, I get that, what DeMarcus Lawrence had to say about him and say about the Cowboys. There's some truth behind that, obviously, but at the end of the day, Parsons' talent is so undeniable. He's so good. And he's young, too. I think he's, only 24 years old at this point in his career. So I think the Cowboys would be foolish not to pay him what he's asking for now. Would Parsons be foolish to re-up with the Cowboys? Like, do they offer him the best in terms of winning a Super Bowl? They definitely offer him the best in terms of notoriety. Like, you're not going to have a bigger spotlight on you than playing for Dallas.
All right, coming up next, we got to go back to Seattle here. The Seahawks are unveiling their 50 best players in franchise history this week. Running backs announced today. We'll see who made the list. That's next.
It's the next phase of the Seahawks offseason, OTAs.
Jansen, he's going 40.
And Seattle sports is all over it.
The Seahawks, they're into it now.
The one thing about Mike McDonald is he knows exactly what he wants to do.
Wyman and Bob are live from the VMAC this afternoon beginning at 2. Complete insider coverage at seattlesports.com, the Seattle Sports YouTube channel, and the Seattle Sports app. We are the home of the Seahawks. Seattle Sports.
Guys, tired all the time? Gaining weight? Low drive? These aren't just signs of aging. They could be low testosterone or other underlying issues. This June, for Men's Health Month, Revive Men's Health in Seattle is offering a free comprehensive wellness panel, a $400 value. It checks your testosterone, blood sugar, cholesterol, kidney, liver, thyroid, and heart health. No guessing, just answers. Over 100,000 men have trusted Revive to get real results. More energy, better sleep, improved mood, and confidence that shows. If something feels off, don't wait. Take control and protect your long-term health by knowing your numbers. This offer ends June 30th. Schedule your free comprehensive wellness panel today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Feel better. Live stronger. Start now.
The team at Mazda of Everett is always working hard to make your experience with their team exceptional. Mazda of Everett has over 700 new Mazdas in stock, tariff-free. It's the perfect time to buy a new Mazda. Visit our friends at Mazda of Everett on Highway 99 in Everett or shop online at MazdaofEverett.com. Click the Mazda of Everett price where pre-tariff pricing still applies. Shop their tariff-free selection at Mazda of Everett.
Hey, it's Ryan Roland-Smith for Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. I dropped 30 pounds and honestly, I feel amazing and it has been so easy to keep off. But I didn't want to just lose weight. I wanted to be in the best shape of my life. Look, I'm in way better shape than what I was even when I was playing. I've lost all that visceral fat, which is super crucial long term, and now I'm sleeping better. I've got way more energy, and I'm actually maintaining the results. I'm not guessing anymore when it comes to diet. I finally understand my body. The meals are simple, I'm never hungry, and they fit into my lifestyle. And yeah, now that I've dropped the body fat, I can still enjoy an Aussie meat pie on the weekend, and I'm not stressed about it. After speaking with Dr. Coogan, it all made perfect sense. Yes, it was going to take some discipline, but trust me, the results were well worth it. So if you're ready to take control and feel like your best self, Go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com and book a 15-minute consultation. It changed everything for me, and it can for you too.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Allergy and sinus symptoms are annoying. They're frustrating and can ruin an entire day. They're also curable. I'm Dr. Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. We can free our patients of awful symptoms by testing and treating their allergies to simple, non-invasive treatments. Stop suffering from nasal congestion, sneezing, runny nose, facial pain, and even snoring. Let us help you get relief. Easily, quickly, and permanently. We're local in Federal Way and in Auburn. Come see us or book your appointment at sternsinus.com.
Do you know a woman that gives her all to the sports community, encourages diversity, and empowers those around her? Maura Dooley here. Seattle Sports is partnering with the Seattle chapter of WISE, which stands for Women in Sports and Events. We want to recognize a woman in our community, and we need your help finding her. Nominations for the 4th Annual Women of Inspiration Award are open until July 11th. The winner will receive a donation to the cause of their choice. Nominate an inspiring woman at woiseattle.org.
The home of the Mariners.
It is gone! Cal Raleigh, 2-run home run!
Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Between his hobbies and decades of work in a boatyard, Philip had put his body through a lot.
I'm an avid fly fisherman and an avid skier. It takes its toll.
Not to mention one other thing.
I had a near-fatal motorcycle accident. Absolutely obliterated my lower left leg again.
Philip couldn't live with the pain anymore, so he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
Listening to all these radio spots, I said, what do I got to lose?
What was your experience like with Dr. Wagner?
What I was so impressed with Mark about is that how often you have a surgery like this, and the guy calls you the next day to see how you're doing. I can't say enough good things about the guy, honestly.
And how are you feeling now?
I have no pain, none. Zero.
Wow. So would you recommend stem cell therapy to others?
I'm a fan, believe me. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
Our first Mark Challenge victory is Aaron McCoy from McCoy Home Solutions, yet another small business owner that took the First Mark Insurance Challenge. Aaron, why did you make the call to First Mark Insurance?
My company has grown to a space where we need a higher level of coverage. A couple of factors led me to say, boy, I really need to find something new. And First Mark really rang that bell.
First Mark save you and your business money?
Oh, yeah. They have decreased overall expense in a couple categories by up to 30%, coverage in a couple of areas by greater than 50%. They've offered coverage in 2 new categories that I think are pertinent for my business, and they've greatly impacted what that coverage and those margins look like.
Kind of wish you made the call earlier.
I absolutely do. Yeah.
So if you're a small business owner that wants to take the stress of insurance off your plate, do what Aaron McCoy did for McCoy Home Solutions. Make the call to First Mark Insurance. They're your teammate that goes to work for you. FirstMarkInsurance.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We have a really fun 1 p.m. coming up. We are going to have on NHL on ESPN's John Buccigross to talk Kraken and also preview the Stanley Cup Finals, which begin on Wednesday. That's coming up at 1:30. What I need to know at 1:45, send your questions in anytime. And then at 1, Curtis Rogers and for Michael Bumpus and I are going to have kind of a Mariners roundtable. We both have just some random thoughts, questions about this Mariners team, which I think both of us, while at times find it frustrating to watch, also think this is a really fascinating, intriguing season. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of meat on the bone when it comes to this season. But that also means that if you guys have questions, maybe topics that you'd love to hear us discuss or that you want to opine about, get those sent in as well. 866-979-3776. For instance, I have a great question here from about Logan Evans. So that's coming up at 1 right now. Seahawks. Curtis, the Seahawks are unveiling their 50 best players in franchise history this week. Running backs announced today. This list is the least surprising list on the planet, but also kind of reminds us how many great players this team has seen. So you've got fullback Max Strong, running back Sean Alexander, obviously the franchise leader in touchdowns and yards. Marshawn Lynch, of course, making the list. Kurt Warner, Chris Warren, John L. Williams.
Yeah, I think this was the list that they probably had the easiest time putting together. Now, I think it was partially voted on by fans. I think people in the Seahawks organization voted on it as well. Not a lot of snubs I can think of for this group, but I have no qualms about anybody that made it. I mean, Max Strong, best fullback in franchise history. It's not even close. Was here forever and ever. Was with the Seahawks organization long after his playing career. Did a bunch of radio. Sean Alexander, we talk about him a lot on this show, especially as somebody that maybe we tend to overlook all that he accomplished in a Seahawks uniform. Only MVP in franchise history, nearly 10,000 rushing yards.
Curtis, I want to
touchdowns.
pause on this one for a minute because I actually love this topic, and I'm glad that you said that. Sean Alexander, I'm going to flip it as a question. Why is he constantly overlooked? And I know my answer. I know what I think people are saying, but it's almost like people, I don't want to say don't like, but he's not necessarily a fan favorite.
Yeah, he doesn't get the respect that I think he deserves, and I think a large part of that is his running style, where he would not seek out contact, but also 100 touchdowns is 100 touchdowns. Like, no one else in franchise history is even close to that number. And then I think, too, his numbers took a big dip once Steve Hutchinson left, and a lot of people were kind of like, oh, well, now that you don't have your Hall of Fame left guard to go along with the Hall of Fame left tackle, you don't have, these superpowers that you've been running with for the majority of your career. But like, this guy I believe he ran for 1,800 yards the year he ran for 28 touchdowns.
That's what I'm saying. There's kind of this in between of, yes, he did play behind the best Seahawks offensive line we've ever seen, just a phenomenal offensive line in general, no matter what team they would have been on. But you can also, if you go back and look up Sean Alexander highlights, you're going to find moments where he is just electric. And I think his legacy is just kind of forgotten. Because, I don't know. I just think people kind of write it off. Like, it could have been any running back behind that line. No, it couldn't have.
Right.
It's just, I think that's fundamentally wrong.
To that point, you had Mo Morris, who was in the Seahawks running back room for nearly the exact same amount of time that Sean Alexander was, and Mo Morris has nowhere close to the same kind of stats that Sean Alexander does. No disrespect to Mo Morris. I don't know what he's up to these days, but like, he was Sean Alexander's backup forever and ever and ever.
Marshawn Lynch is next on this list. I mentioned Kurt Warner, Chris Warren, John L. Williams
Very
also on it. So go in any direction.
Marshawn Lynch, we all know his story. It's maybe the best trade in Seahawks franchise history, maybe after the Steve Largent trade.
Yeah.
Considering what you gave up for him and what you got an all-pro running back who helped lead you to your first Super Bowl title. I mean, and has some of the most memorable moments in franchise history. Chris Warren and Kurt Warner, probably the two most underrated running backs in franchise history, especially Kurt Warner. You look at the start of his career, he was phenomenal. I know Chris Warren had a bit of a fumble issue, but all in all, really good running back. He gets dinged a little bit because of the teams that he played on. He played in the 90s, the worst era of Seahawks football.
We don't need to go down the road.
We don't need to go down that. But then John L. Williams, underappreciated as well. He was sort of like a Kyle Juszczyk in a way. He was just a Swiss Army knife guy. Had a lot of good receiving yardage seasons as well as rushing yardage back when your fullback was used a lot more. So he was really good in the late 80s, early 90s for the Seahawks team. And somebody that a lot of older Seahawks fans really identify with and, make sure that he doesn't get forgotten about in his Seahawks legacy. But, I can't get mad at this list. The only other running back in Seahawks franchise history that you might consider on this list, maybe two. I would say Ricky Watters and Chris Carson.
Okay.
Outside of those two, I don't know if there's anybody else you can make a case for.
Ricky Watters, I think, has a great case to be made. And you talk about generations of Seahawks fans and guys that resonate with them. I think that's the same thing, where there is a generation of Seahawks fans that Ricky Watters just resonates for them in a different way.
He was cool.
Than it would much older fans.
He was really cool.
Or much younger.
Yeah.
Chris Carson doesn't have as strong a case to make, but Chris Carson was kind of like the oasis in the desert for this Seahawks run game for a while. There was this long stretch where you couldn't get anything going. Marshawn Lynch finishes as your last 1,000-yard rusher. And then you have no one. And the closest you get for a minute there is Thomas Rawls coming in and putting together a promising season. Then he gets hurt, and then you never really have him as a starter again. Like, I don't know what it was for him. He just didn't bounce back in the same way. Suffered a broken ankle or a fractured ankle in like week 12 or something against the Ravens and just never really bounced back. And then you get Rashad Penny as a first-round pick. He doesn't do much of anything for you except for a stretch where he goes God mode in games where, like, last couple games of the season where it doesn't matter.
If you could put single stretch of games on this list,
that
Rashad Penny's
of, like,
on that list.
What was it, like 5 games?
Oh, yeah. He was over like 140 rushing yards every single game.
Best running back in football for just a month. But Chris Carson is otherwise on there for just being the guy that kind of broke a bad spell. You know what I mean? Came in as a 7th rounder when you weren't expecting it at all and became a 1,000-yard rusher for you and was being asked to carry the rock a ton. He had a ton of carries.
Our OG Seahawks fans texted in saying Sherman Smith, another potential snub from this list. Never eclipsed 1,000 yards in his career, but was pretty much a Seahawks lifer in terms of playing career and coaching career. I know he was on Pete Carroll's coaching staff forever and ever and ever as the running backs coach. But yeah, I cannot complain at all about the running back group that was announced today. I believe later today we will see the defensive backs, which I think there's going to be a lot of varied opinion on some guys, especially maybe. I mean, like, you got to put Marcus Trufant on that list, right? I know you've got like Sherman, Chancellor, and Earl Thomas, and Dave Brown, and Kenny Easley. Like, those guys are locks, but like, who else gets on?
Do they cap the number? Is it like, okay, we can only have 6 or 7?
I think there can be an unlimited number from any position group, but the total has to equal 50, and there is no like, this is the greatest Seahawk ever.
We got a classic roster construction problem here.
Right, exactly. Why didn't they do 53? Because 53 is an NFL roster.
We can cut down some offensive line.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up at 1, we're going to have a Mariners roundtable here. Get your questions in 866-979-3776.
What a weekend.
Swinging a ground ball up the middle, base hit.
The Mariners' resilient shine.
A walk-off single. Julio scores.
The big dumper unloads.
Cal Raleigh does it again.
Tomorrow night, the homestand continues with a first of 3 against the Orioles at T-Mobile Park. First pitch at 6:40 on the home of the Mariners and the AL West race. Seattle Sports on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
June is Men's Health Month, and we want to place a special emphasis on prostate cancer awareness and treatment. It's important for men to communicate about issues relating to their health, especially family health history. Prostate cancer has been in the news, and right now I'm joined by Dr. Landis from the Swedish Cancer Institute. Dr. Landis, how common is prostate cancer?
Prostate cancer is very common. About 1 in 8 men will develop prostate cancer here in the U.S. That ends up being about 300,000 cases per year.
How can men test for prostate cancer?
Well, first thing, patients should ask to have PSA screening from their primary care doc. Anyone 50 or over, and if you have a family history starting at 45 is pretty typical.
If diagnosed, why should patients seek out Swedish CyberKnife for treatment?
What we hear from patients all the time is that treatment really was amazing. They didn't have to take time off of work. The side effects are really minimal, and there was minimal interruption in their lives.
Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
This is the story of the one.
As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start June 11th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
With Progressive, renters can save on protection for the things that make your place yours, even things that don't make sense to everyone.
People always wonder why I don't get rid of my guitar since I never play. But it's like, what if I actually end up taking lessons? Sure, I've had it for 8 years, but if I get rid of it, then what will my New Year's resolution be next January?
Exactly. So bundle your renters and auto and save with Progressive and protect the things that make sense to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Got neighbors? Big Trees can help. This is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. If you've been considering planting trees to add privacy, look no further than Big Trees. Privacy trees fill in empty spaces, help to define property lines, and add curb appeal. Learn more about Big Trees' big supply of privacy trees at bigtreesupply.com.
Beauty, privacy, instantly. Big Trees.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are off today, but you can still get your Mariners fix with Extra Innings, a Mariners show hosted by Curtis Rogers today from 7 to 9 p.m. on Seattle Sports. The Stanley Cup Finals begin Wednesday. The Florida Panthers looking to repeat as champs against the repeat Western Conference finalist Edmonton Oilers. Can Connor McDavid get it done? We're going to preview the series and talk Kraken, of course, a new hire there with John Buccigross coming up at 1:30.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. And Curtis, we're having a bit of a Mariners roundtable here on a Mariners off day. You're going to have a lot of Mariners talk today with Extra Innings coming up at 7 p.m. This is really your primer. Just a fun, oh my God. So on Sunday, I had just a barbecue with my family for my birthday. And my sister and her boyfriend, Dennis, are two of the funniest people that I know. And one thing I love about them is their definition of appetizers and what constitutes an appetizer. So for this grill, they grilled hot dogs, and they were like, just an appetizer.
A hot dog appetizer.
A hot dog is an appetizer.
I can get down
was like,
with that.
this is, I mean, I get it. You maybe, if the hot dogs are what you're eating. You're taking two, or maybe a hot
Right.
dog and a burger, classic grill staples, right? You want both, but I like the hot dogs as an appetizer approach.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at a cookout, if you're at a barbecue, you're not just stopping with one hot dog. It's going to be a hot dog and something else. It's going to be a hot dog and a burger, hot dog and some chicken. It's going to
No,
be
this is a hot dog to wet the palate.
just to grease the wheels. I love it.
All right. Anyways, that's what this is. This Mariners Roundtable is kind of your hot dog to wet the palate before extra innings coming up at 7. So we're going to talk about a couple things here that have come up over the course of the interviews that we've had on the show, recapping a series win over the Twins, looking ahead to the Orioles. We're going to talk about the last 15 days. Offensively, obviously we're going to talk about Cal. We're going to talk about questions we have for this team, maybe some under the radar guys that are performing, some under the radar concerns that we have, plenty of questions about the bullpen. And then I have a couple questions from listeners. You have time to get yours in, 866-979-3776. I'm going to start with the most fun thing to talk about this team right now, which is Cal Raleigh. Curtis.
Oh, for sure. I mean, anytime you bring up Cal Raleigh's name, I just kind of get a smile on my face. It's like, oh yeah, he's ours, right? He's ours for the next.
Pretty sweet.
He's ours for more than a half decade. You don't have to worry about where he's going to be playing anymore. It's unbelievable the start he has gotten off to, which is, I mean, we knew he was one of the best catchers in baseball, but there is no doubt anymore as to who the best catcher is in baseball. It's him, and it's him. And there's a giant gap between him and the next best catcher in baseball. And it's the Mariners would not be in the position that they're in right now without him. And I don't want to think about what life without him would be like because, man, it is so fun to watch him play. And I'm trying to remember who the last Mariners player was to kind of like have this grip on the fan base that Cal does.
Julio.
Maybe
year one.
I was thinking maybe Felix, where Felix, like everything he did, everybody was just so in awe of, like peak Felix. Maybe.
Yeah, because Julio was never the best.
Right.
It was like he was doing plenty of things, but it was also just a lot of potential and promise and excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Cal, you're right, to your point, Cal's legitimately the best at his position right now.
Sure, and the thing that Felix and Cal have in common is that they both chose to re-sign with Seattle. They chose to extend
that's a good point.
their careers here, which made them beloved more than they already were.
Yeah, which is why Cal was on my list of untouchable Seattle stars, people who could commit crimes.
Felix was on there too, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's hugely important. Here's the thing. Cal is leading the league in home runs or American League in home runs right now. Take it, Ohtani. leading the league in home runs. It's a leapfrog scenario with him, Aaron Judge, and Ohtani just constantly surpassing each other. But the fact that Cal is keeping pace and at times leading that group is just a really cool thing to watch. He had 2 home runs in a game that they lost. And Curtis, the reason I bring that up is this is still a team with some warts. Some of them they are not going to solve. Others they can figure out. Let's parse the ones that they can hopefully start to figure out. Where does the bullpen fall in there for you?
The bullpen, I don't know if it's going to get any better than it is without outside help, without bringing in maybe a veteran arm, a proven arm between now and July 31st when the trade deadline is, because what you have in-house has not really been all that great outside of Andres Munoz. Matt Brash, I know, has been good in his time back from the injured list, but again, you're still kind of working him back up to a normal workload. Mm-hmm. And it was only this past weekend where Brash had pitched in back-to-back games since being recalled from AAA Tacoma off of his rehab assignment. So, he's probably not at 100% yet. Maybe he's getting close to what we know Matt Brash can be. But outside of those two guys, Brash and Munoz, you're really just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall right now and hoping it sticks. You're still trying to figure out people's roles, and we're June 2nd. Gabe Spire, I think, is a guy who I have a lot of confidence in right now, even though he
You're limited in how you can use them.
Right, exactly. Right. So Spire, Brash, and Munoz, you have confidence in, but outside of those guys, I mean, it's really tough to find answers. And I mean, we've heard some names potentially available in trades over the next month and a half. One guy who is going to be here this week is Baltimore's Felix Bautista. That's somebody who I think it was it Jesse Rogers who maybe named him as a potential trade candidate last week with us. That's a name that you look at and say, oh, maybe. I mean, you're probably going to have to give up a decent amount for relief help, but yeah, I don't see it with anybody that is currently in the organization.
Okay, so let's say the bullpen remains a question mark for this team, or that you continue throughout the season with a few thorns there that you're just going to have to figure out. Is there another area on this team where you go, God, I really hope we can see improvement there? Because, Curtis, I know for me, I turn to, obviously, your starting rotation, and maybe even, obviously, getting Logan back, but maybe even looking at someone like Bryce Miller going, yeah, if you could start to see a Bryce Miller that is just hitting his spots a little more consistently, maybe that's an area where you go, I'm going to let myself count on that getting better, or let myself hope that gets better, because there's room there to improve.
Exactly. And I mean, with all these injuries, you have to kind of at least consider that these guys who have been hurt may not be what we think they could be this season, because injuries throw a wrench into any plan. Like, I don't think Bryce Miller is probably going to have the year that we all thought he was. At least, I mean, you look at the start that he's gotten off to this year. As he got ready, I think it's still above 5. He gave up the 3 runs in 4 innings on Saturday, but he did say that he felt a lot better out there. I just don't know what he is going to look like in August and September. Same goes for George Kirby, who has gotten off to a slow start. Now, who knows if maybe Kirby is still basically in kind of spring training mode where he's trying to feel it out a little bit more and get back to what he can be as a starting pitcher. But I don't know. Starting pitching to me, Stacy, feels like it's still kind of a need. But you do have Emerson Hancock, who has filled in pretty admirably outside of that first start of the year that he had.
Yeah.
And then Logan Evans, I mean, his most recent start in the big leagues was 8 innings where he gives up 1 run, throws like 80 pitches, the most efficient 8 innings you'll ever see.
Poor guy. And then, of course, that's your last start. So, maybe not for the year, but we'll see what ends up happening.
Well, and I wonder, too, like, if you know you have that kind of waiting in the wings in AAA, does that maybe lessen the chances of the Mariners trading for veteran rotation help?
I think yes. I think also, and I know you can speak to this because we've talked about it in past deadlines, we've talked about it in past winters, that the Mariners typically haven't even added long-term solutions, right? One of the critiques about them has been that if they end up paying for a guy, you want as much club control, but that in general they don't tend to give really like long-term deals. Now I'm talking at this point more like free agency coming out of winter as opposed to the trade deadline, where they have added some longer options. But like, this isn't a team that takes a ton of risk or that makes a lot of big buys for short-term gain. They just don't.
Right.
And I think that they would view a starting pitcher, in my mind right now, as a big buy for a short-term gain, because the question marks they have there are presumably ones that are not going to last in an ideal world for beyond this year.
Well, and they look for starting pitchers that fit a very, very small profile.
Which fine.
Sure, yeah. Like
you've drafted and developed so well that if that's how you manage that group, then fine.
Exactly. And it's worked out well for them because their starting rotation has been among the game's very best for 2, 3, 4 years now. So it works. It just limits you in who you can potentially add this time of year.
I have some pitching questions from listeners, and then I have some non-pitching questions, but I'll start with pitcher questions since we're already on the topic. Mariners questions for y'all in the 1 p.m. segment. You've talked about it a bit. I'm just going to reintroduce it. What's your leash for Kirby? Fans have been telling me results don't matter with rehab starts. Sure, I agree, and I can get behind it. But when do results actually matter? And conversely, when do they become an issue for him as he nears start number 3? Obviously, back-to-back bad starts.
Yeah, I think you still got to give him his next start. I think you probably need to give him his next start after that. But we're definitely nearing an area of concern for George Kirby for sure, especially because, I mean, look at his numbers last year. I believe he allowed the most hits in baseball in terms of starting pitchers, or at least in the American League. Yeah, he led the American League in hits allowed, 181 in 191 innings pitched. I do kind of wonder, Stacy, if maybe his great control, his great command kind of works against him a little bit, because opposing hitters know that they're going to get a ball in the zone. They know that he is going to hit his spots. And if he's more in the strike zone than not, then opposing hitters are just like, well, I'm gonna get a ball to hit at some point. Like, I know that this guy is not going to go outside of the zone, so let's take advantage of what we know this guy can be. So I wonder if he's maybe trying to learn to pitch outside of the zone a little bit more here in order for him to have a better go of it coming off the injured list. But yeah, it's been weird to see him in this spot. I mean, gosh, 11 earned runs in 8 2/3 innings pitched to start here.
Just bad.
Yeah, I can't remember him ever having back-to-back starts like this.
To answer this listener's question, they said, do you wait for start 4 to see more polish? I think yes.
Yeah, I think 4 is going to be a very important start for George Kirby.
You're onto something, listener. Okay, another question here. My big question is how the Mariners fit Robles and Raley back in when they're ready. Solano is a liability.
I think Donovan Solano is where I would turn to in terms of who do you move in order to make room for Luke Raley. I think Taveras you keep as your fourth outfielder. I think Raley is on your roster for sure. Tellez is still there. You have those guys kind of split at first base, and then Taveras and Raley can split at right field. So when Raley's not in the outfield, Taveras is out there, and when Raley is in the outfield, Tellez is playing first base. Solano does seem to be kind of the odd man out in this kind of situation in terms of Raley. Robles coming back, that's going to be an interesting one, because now you're running out 5 outfielders if you have Raley still playing in the outfield, which I don't think you would at that point. I think you would move him mostly to first base, and then Tellez I think you still keep around to have that power bat coming off the bench. But after that, I mean, you're definitely in a bit of a squeeze. Maybe Mastroboni is somebody that you would send down to AAA, have Dylan Moore be your super utility guy, the role that I think the Mariners feel most comfortable in. But it's a good problem to have, because you've got 2 guys who are I think, good players potentially coming back at some point this season. Raley obviously much closer in his return than Robles is. But, I think the Mariners, they're going to use these guys getting healthy to their benefit, but I hope those aren't just the only additions they make. I hope that they go out and get some more.
I have another popular Mariners question I got, but we don't have time for it right now. Instead, I'm going to plug it into what I need to know coming up at 1:45. I'll go ahead and lead off the segment with that one. We're talking Stanley Cup Finals, Panthers, Oilers. Coming up at 1:30 with NHL on ESPN's John Buccigross. Right now, let's get to 4 Down Territory.
This is 4 Down Territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down to you, Stacy. Bit of a surprise announcement across the NFL today. All-Pro center Frank Ragnow announcing his retirement from the Lions. What was the most impressive thing about his NFL career?
The consistency through injuries. And I know that there are a number of, and I would say the vast majority of NFL players that play through some kind of injury, right? You hear guys all the time talk about, like, no one's healthy. Like, it doesn't matter if your bye week comes in the middle or the late part of the season and you get a chance to rest. No one is ever truly playing healthy. It's an incredibly violent sport, but Frank Ragnow's had some brutal ones and has continued to be a 3-time Pro Bowl center, one of the best centers in the league, one of the best run-blocking centers, second-team All-Pro, just absolutely amazing. So in addition to ankle and groin injuries, turf toe, and a concussion, He suffered a fractured throat in 2020. I don't know if you guys remember this one. It was in the first quarter of a game. Important to note, he did not leave. He did not leave the game after suffering a fractured throat. There is just a level of toughness with any athlete, particularly with NFL players, that I can really respect as someone who taps out if I have a sore knee from any activity. Like if we're walking somewhere and I'm like, it's pretty hot out, let's drive. I really respect that kind of mental grit and toughness. But a fractured throat in a game that you then do not leave, or missing maybe a game last year through a number of injuries, including a partially torn pec, is especially impressive. So tip of the cap to offensive linemen in general and Frank Ragnow. In this case, happy retirement.
Second down. Stacy, last week brought rumors of a potential trade of Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts, but we saw a wrinkle thrown into that rumor today. What happened?
Apparently Kyle Pitts is injured. I didn't know that this was a thing. I tried, looking up if there was maybe a nagging injury that he had that was carrying in, but they haven't disclosed what this injury is. All they said, them being Raheem Morris, head coach Raheem Morris, is that his absence, Pitts, is not injury related. They just said they're being extremely cautious, so that's why he's not out there. With the number 4 overall pick, having his 5th-year option picked up, but then not a long-term extension, I think a lot of people were wondering, are the Falcons going to trade this guy? He has all the potential. He's still fairly young, but he just hasn't been able to be as explosive in that offense as he could be, at least not since his rookie season. Could that happen in another offense? Could there be a team out there who could really make the most of his talents? And so I think what started as a really interesting trade rumor around Friday turned into, he's not even on the field. So what's that mean for the trade rumor? So that's the latest you need to know about Kyle Pitts.
Third down. All right, Stacy, we asked Brady this question, so who are you most curious to see at OTAs this week?
So I needed to make sure that Brady's answer would eliminate mine, or not eliminate mine, but that I could eliminate Brady's and not have some duplicates. So thankfully we worked that out. Mine is going to be Jalen Milroe. So Brady said that he's very eager to see, attendance, and so far so good, with Uchenna Nwosu being the only person who isn't out here for an understandable reason, still coming off of injury, so fine. But otherwise, no unexcused absences, no notable absences, and no contract issues. Great. And then Brady also said something that's very important. We've talked about it plenty, Curtis, and that is, hey, I want to see what Sam Darnold looks like. Brady has an inkling that Sam Darnold is maybe not quite as polished a passer as Geno Smith was, whatever people want to say about Geno, so he wants to see that put to the test. This is from a point of selfishness. I don't think that Jalen Milroe, who is my answer, is going to suddenly become your starter. I'm not interested in watching him because I think he's going to take that job from Sam Darnold. This is pure selfishness, okay? I have not watched a drafted Seahawks quarterback, not named Russell Wilson, or Alex Magoo, I guess, throw a football. So I started covering this team in 2015, where Wilson was obviously no longer a rookie. They had already been to a Super Bowl. They had been to a second. Them coming back after Super Bowl 49, awkward vibes, was my first season. So I've never, ever watched a drafted rookie passer where people were kind of interested in what he was doing. I've never seen it here. And I've always been so jealous of people I know around the league that are like, yeah, we're watching so-and-so. Even when it's not a first rounder, it's just fun. It's just fun to have something new and interesting to watch at camp. And so I'm kind of excited to see that new and interesting thing this year, which is Jalen Milroe.
Fourth down. Stacy, were it not Saquon Barkley's memorable hurdle gracing the cover of this year's Madden 26, which was announced this morning, who or what should have been on the cover?
So I have an aesthetic answer, and then I have a real answer.
All right.
I'll start with the aesthetic answer. It makes sense that neither of these, it's not a specific player, it is like a game. I thought both serious snow games this year were my favorite football viewing moments of the season. One of them was Steelers-Browns. It was not a great game. It just looked so amazing. It looked so like football
Jameis
being,
Winston game.
Yeah, it looked like football being played in a snow globe, and I had so much fun watching it. And then 49ers-Bills, where the 49ers lost to Buffalo, and Josh Allen has this amazing game. I was like, yeah, put that on the cover.
Yeah.
Josh Allen was very recently on the cover, so we're going to go ahead and take both of those off. I think Saquon is the rightful choice for this. He's going to be a 99 player, which is apparently the Eagles' first 99 rated player in like 20 years or something.
Wow.
Absolutely insane. I can't believe that. I chose Jamar Chase. You haven't had a wide receiver on the cover since Madden 19 when it was AB. And so I just think that after the phenomenal season that he's had, I know Justin Jefferson always gets a tip of the cap as the best receiver in the league, but Jamar Chase had an unreal year. And I don't know. If you had to choose a second and you couldn't have your MVP Josh Allen because he was just on last year, and any other quarterback would feel either too recent or, maybe, switch it up a bit, then yeah, why not go with Jamar Chase?
That's a good, that'd be a good pick. He's popular with the kids. You mentioned Justin Jefferson too. He's very popular with the kids, doing the gritty all over the place. But I would love to have seen a 49ers loss be commemorated on.
I would have loved that.
Yeah, I saw a video today posted of the photo shoot for the cover. They made Saquon Barkley do that again, but I think what happened is that he was wearing a harness this time.
Yeah.
Because I bet the Eagles did not want him potentially risking injury and landing awkwardly, because that's hard to pull off once, let alone twice.
I was going to say, it also speaks to how cool it was in the first place that you had to have a harness help you recreate a thing that you did without one. Like, that's insane. It was the coolest play of the year. There's not a close second at all.
Stacy, I'll take it from here. Let's see what's on tonight.
What's on tonight with Bump and Stacy, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot. Now, here's what's on tonight.
What's on tonight? Extra innings from 7 to 9 p.m. with yours truly. I'm joined by Mike Lefko. We've got Orioles beat writer Matt Wayrick joining me at 8 p.m. right here on Seattle Sports. Coming up next, ESPN NHL voice John Buccigross. He joins us to talk some Kraken, talk some Stanley Cup playoffs. You're listening to Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
It's the next phase of the Seahawks offseason, OTAs.
Jansen, he's going 40.
And Seattle Sports is all over it.
The Seahawks, they're into it now.
The one thing about Mike McDonald is he knows exactly what he wants to do.
Wyman and Bob are live from the VMAC this afternoon beginning at 2. Complete insider coverage at seattlesports.com, the Seattle Sports YouTube channel, and the Seattle Sports app. We are the home of the Seahawks. Seattle Sports.
The American Band, the legendary Grand Funk Railroad, is rolling into Muckleshoot Event Center Wednesday, August 6th, with special guest Jefferson Starship. Don't miss this night of classic rock that defined a generation. Get tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com. Grand Funk Railroad with special guest Jefferson Starship. Only at Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen. And PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
Guys, I'll never forget the first time I saw somebody get results at our clinic. He was an 81-year-old man who hadn't been intimate with his wife in over 8 years. Viagra had stopped working for him, and he was desperate for help. After several treatments, he walked into my office and told me he couldn't believe the results. Needless to say, this was a very happy man. This man made me a believer in what we do. He had taken pills for years, but he had never fixed the problem. When he came to us, we fixed the problem. Our treatment does what no pill can do. So give West Coast Men's Health a call today. Speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today, like the thousands of men who already have.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Cal swinging a drive deep to right field.
Every pitch of every Mariners game is on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new replacement right now. That's huge. $1,000 off. Quite the incentive for homeowners to book their roof replacement right now. It's Mike Salk here, and it really is a great time to do it. These days are getting long, right? Sunsets after 8 o'clock. Crews can get your roof done quick. So take advantage now before demand spikes this summer, making those repairs costly and time-consuming as well. Here's what you got to do to claim your $1,000 off from Riverside Roofing. Book a free estimate from the website, riversideroofingllc.com. And then you'll meet with Brandon, that's Don's son. Just tell him you heard the message here on the radio station. $1,000 back in your pocket, and yes, a brand new roof over your head. And while you're there, ask Brandon about their 35 years of local experience, GAF Master Elite certification, which puts them in the top 3% of roofers in the nation, and of course the catch-all system, which they use to keep your yard and driveway totally free of debris like nails or shingles. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. Remember, Riverside Roofing is the roofing company you can trust.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
You've heard the saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Since 1926, my family's been helping local businesses make great first, second, and long-term impressions. We know how to make your company look good with quality uniforms, logoed apparel, floor mats, linens, and more. If you're paying for linen service or doing it yourself, let's have the conversation. The information and quote are free, but the savings and service can really add up. Visit suplinen.com. Superior Linen Service. It's what we do.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Florida Panthers, Edmonton Oilers face off for the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 1 Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific. NHL on ESPN's John Buccigross joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hi, John. How's it going?
Hi, Stacy. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much. You know, John, I always feel so much pressure when we have you on. Not only are we massive fans, but I always want to impress you with my hockey knowledge. And so I worked so hard to come up with a good question, but all I could get was, wow, sure feels important that this series starts in Edmonton for the Oilers.
Yeah.
Feels like that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. It ended in Florida last year, and maybe if it was at Edmonton, that would have been the difference. Most playoff games are 50-50, a coin toss until you get to Game 7, and then it kind of spikes up a little bit for the home team, especially when you score first, and it spikes up a little bit more, and that's what Florida did. So yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. Edmonton's very good at home. They can sneak out Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl a little easier when they're on home ice because you get the last change as a coach. So I think that's a good place to start and could be the difference in the end.
John, what does a cup do to Connor McDavid's legacy? Because that's the only thing missing right now. He's got all sorts of trophies in his basement downstairs. What does a cup say about him in terms of his legacy as a hockey great?
Yeah, that'll help. I mean, for sure. Most legends in hockey have a cup. We don't really have, very few don't. Marcel Dion's a Hall of Famer who's way up there on the scoring list. He doesn't have one. But most do. There were only six teams for a long time. So people who played during that era before the late 60s, you had a pretty good chance of getting there eventually. And then even since then, whether it's Lemieux or Gretzky or Bobby Orr, all these Gordie Howe, they all got one. So you assume he's eventually going to get one. But, now that there's 32 teams, those kinds of things are a little more difficult. And, there's some great, certainly legendary baseball players, legendary football players, Dan Marino, who don't have a championship ring. So it's, he's already looked at as maybe the most talented player of all time. That won't change whether they win or not. It is a team sport. There are, 20 guys who dress for every game. But, yeah, it'll help a lot for sure as he's pushing 30. So you want to get that thing when you can.
The Panthers have been dominant. Obviously, a third consecutive Stanley Cup final appearance, sixth consecutive year in the playoffs. I know there was a theory floating around that one factor could be a lack of income tax, but no one has told the Kraken that. So it must be something else with the secret sauce.
Right.
Tell me kind of what you see with Florida. One of my favorite storylines in general with the team is how they can build up a dynasty or a regular contender at the very least. What do you see with Florida?
Good question, Stacy.
Thanks.
Teacher's pet. Like you said, they're loaded. And certainly, now that they're established as a championship team, in most situations, guys want to stay, whether you're a tax state or not. You'll take less. You want to, especially as you get late 20s, early 30s, your wife likes it there. You might have a couple kids in school. And so I don't want to move. Moving sucks. No one likes to move. So let's stay here. So, you can get guys to take a little bit less because of the tax. But like you said, Washington doesn't have a state tax and Tennessee doesn't have one. Predators haven't won a Stanley Cup yet. Texas doesn't have one. The Stars got one. So, Florida doesn't have one, but they're on a good run. They just happen to build these teams with guys in their mid-20s when they won their first cup, and that's where Florida is. The guys are under 30 years old. That's more important than what state you're in. When you win that, how old is your core? Right. And, they're still, in late 20s, so that's going to give them some runway. And when you win a couple, a lot of teams will get there, and the guys are in their mid-20s, and then they don't win yet. And then they finally win one. But then everyone's a little bit older. They're 30, 31, and then that's pretty much it. So, but this team, the guys are still at that certain age where they're going to be there for a couple of years, and so they're able to build depth. And that's what they did this year. Their third line now, Marchand, Lundell, Osterreinen, that could be a big factor in this series, those three guys, because it's such a good line. And now with the injury for Edmonton to Zach Hyman, that moves everybody up, and that weakens their bottom six now. So that could be a factor right there, the depth of Florida, especially that line.
John, here in Seattle, they've been about as busy as you can be without having games going on, restructuring their front office, and then also hiring Lane Lambert as their head coach. What'd you make, first off, of the front office restructure, Ron Francis moving to president, and then Jason Botterill going to GM?
Yeah, there's just not a lot of patience anymore. Obviously, in professional sports, a lot on the line, a lot of money on the line, and when things don't look, when the record's not great, and the future might not look great, like, geez, how can we be different these next couple of years? We don't have any young phenom talents coming yet, so maybe we need to change it up, and because otherwise now it's 2, 3, 4 years down the road, and we're still kind of who we are. So I guess I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference. We'll see. As you build a roster and decide who to trade for and who to trade, and so you'll see. Coaching, I guess they really quite haven't got that coach yet, who's really kind of mirrors the organization and what they're doing and what the goal is. So Lane Lambert's a little bit of a change. This is a guy who was. He's a tough guy from Saskatchewan, no nonsense, Western Canadian, great head of hair, just a follicle wonder, my goodness. And so that can get a respect. That gets the respect of a player for sure when a coach has a great head of hair. 60 years old. He was with Barry Trotz when they won the Cup. Really kind of like the mastermind behind all of Barry Trotz's team. Barry Trotz is true gift is people, managing people. He's more like a manager. And Lane Lambert was really kind of the bones of that Stanley Cup winning team and all of Barry Trotz's success wherever he went. Got a little run finally as a coach of the Islanders. But going back to he was a second round pick of the Red Wings, had a good rookie season, tough guy, always had over 100 penalty minutes. So I think what you're going to see maybe is what they want is like a level of toughness, kind of, let's turn up the toughness factor, the grit factor of Seattle.
Yeah, we kept hearing that maybe that was lacking from players as well, and maybe like a want to. I'm going to stay similar with Curtis, is kind of a step back look at the Kraken. I have a hard time figuring out whether this is more typical of an expansion team or whether they're standing in their own way with some things, and I'm having trouble parsing it. What do you see from them if you kind of take a step back look?
Yeah, it's tough because, obviously it's much, the expansion team rules are much, designed now to help them, as we saw with Vegas. They went to the finals their first year. Now, certainly a lot of those GMs learned from the mistakes they made with the Vegas Golden Knights, and so Seattle didn't quite get a lot of those sweetheart deals because teams kind of understood how it worked the first time around. They probably panicked the first time around, so Vegas took advantage of a lot of people, and they kind of, learned their lessons when Seattle came around. So, but again, they had some very good, chances to make good decisions. Vegas made a great decision with Marc-Andre Fleury with their goaltender, and Seattle made a terrible decision with Philip Grubauer. And you make a decision like that, especially with your goalie, that's tough. And that can set you back. So it's just, it's identifying the right guys to sign, the right guys to extend. What is your team, and will you swing for the fences? And let's face it, Vegas they go for it, and they gamble, and they make these big, bold trades. And maybe, Seattle's laying up on the par fives. They're not quite going for it for the green and 2. So, and maybe that's where they're looking to change things up a bit. Maybe let's be a little more bold here. Let's shake it up. Let's make a big deal here and try to get this thing going the right direction. I think Brad Montour was a great sign. He's the kind of guy you can build around. Really like him a lot. So maybe he's a tough guy, very vocal. So maybe they're going to try to get, that was going to happen anyway. But now I think that's what you want to do, build a tough, gritty, entertaining team.
Could one of those big swings that you mentioned be making a run at Mitch Marner in free agency?
For sure. I mean, absolutely. I think he's going to get an identical offer from like 7-8 teams. It won't be much difference from him in the end for the contract. It's a matter of where does he want to play. And, because like I said, everyone would want him because guys like that don't usually get to market, a 100-point guy. That just doesn't happen. Teams extend them earlier and they lock them up, and maybe they become a free agent at 31, 32, but not his age. So this is very rare. So you got to go for it. It's like when Jack Eichel went in the trade block, you got to go get that guy. When Mikko Rantanen went in the trade block, you just got to go get that guy. And GMs tend to be conservative, especially in the trade market. Like, go get that guy. They just don't become available. So for Marner, it's a little tougher because, like I said, I think 7-8 teams will offer the same 7 times $12.8 million offer. Now if someone suddenly goes towards 13.8 and really overpays him, I guess maybe he makes that decision easier. But in the end, I think you make your offer and hope that he picks you, and for whatever reason he does that, as whether it's geography or where he wants to play, the weather, the wife just had a baby, so all those things come into play.
Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific. He is NHL on ESPN's John Buccigross. Thanks, John.
It's over. That's all.
I know.
Sad.
We'll bring you back on to talk about Lane.
Thanks,
Bye.
John.
Bye.
Oh man, I love John Buccigross.
He's such a character. I mean, he is one of those SportsCenter anchors that I just loved watching as a kid.
Yeah,
because he would come up with some pretty witty stuff to say on the air, and it's like, oh man, that's a deeper level than most SportsCenter anchors are running at. I love his work. He's so good.
Well, Curtis and I are also heading out of here pretty soon. So get your questions in for What I Need to Know, 866-979-3776. That's next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one, the only John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Do you have a car you want to sell, but you just don't want to go through all the hassle? I don't blame you. With all the scams and security risks out there, more and more people are just not comfortable selling their own car. So how do you get the most money for your used car without selling it yourself? Here with the answer, Stacy Rost, and it's Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Not only will they purchase your car and pay you right up front for it, but once they resell your old car, they share half the profit with you. The question I get most from friends and family is obviously, what's the catch? And they go, you can tell us, we won't say anything. But it's seriously that simple. All the money Wayscar Ford saves by not traveling to buy cars at auction, not paying purchase fees or shipping and travel expenses, is money saved. They'd rather offer a cool program like this and then share that saved money with you rather than outside vendors. They encourage you to shop around, but if Wayscar Ford can pay you the same or more as competitors and share half the profit with you once they resell your car, why would you go anywhere else? They've already shared over $800,000 with their customers, only at Wayscar Ford, wayscarford.com.
You're losing your hair and you simply need a solution that works. You want the best. Modern technology, top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need world-class Dr. Perungo and his team at Advanced Hair. Advanced Hair has completely redefined hair restoration. From the experience itself to their unmatched results. Receding hairline, bald spot, thinning hair, maybe all three like I had. Get your hair back with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment that begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day. Advanced Hair has changed tens of thousands of lives, including mine. And get this, Advanced Hair is once again the winner of the 425 Business of the Year. For your free consultation, call 425-449-8185. Right now, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Refine your hairline with the team that redefined hair restoration. That's 425-449-8185. Or for the before and afters, visit advancedhair.com.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Stylin'. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 62225. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Do you know a woman that gives her all to the sports community, encourages diversity, and empowers those around her? Shannon Dreyer here. Seattle Sports is partnering with the Seattle chapter of WISE, which stands for Women in Sports and Events. We want to recognize a woman in our community, and we need your help in finding her. Nominations for the 4th Annual Women of Inspiration Award are open until July 11th. The winner will receive a donation to the cause of their choice. Nominate an inspiring woman at woiseattle.org.
The Bump and Stacy Show is powered in part each day by the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Go to pendergastlaw.com.
Yeah, I have a ton of really memorable customers. So one of my favorite customers I've ever had, he came in and had a really bad experience with several different dealerships. He just lost his husband. His husband left him with a truck, and he was like, I don't need a truck. Like, this is so impractical for me. And it was a really emotional decision for him because it was one of the last things that he had, obviously husbands. We were like, it's no problem. Like, we're going to help you. And we did the process the same way that we always do the process. And we helped him trade in his truck for a beautiful new Rogue. And that was really cool. And he bought his second car from us. And I'm sure when he needs a third car, he'll come back and buy his third car from Nissan too. afterwards to thank us, he sent us this beautiful basket of like candies and fruits and stuff.
Making a great day for the people around you is making a great day for yourself. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
If you want that summer body you've always dreamed of, then this message is for you, ladies, and you men too. Get rid of extra stubborn fat and address areas of loose skin around the waistline, chin, and under the upper arms with ProSculpt, the new one-day instant permanent fat removal and skin tightening treatment. Maybe you've tried the lasers, fat freezing methods, even those new pills, but without the desired results. ProSculpt is different. It's minimally invasive, performed while fully awake, gentle, yet powerful. Designed to target the waistline, chin, neck, arms, and thighs, ProSculpt uses FDA-cleared plasma technology to deliver immediate, permanent fat-reducing and skin-tightening results, all in just one visit. If you want that summer body this summer, then you must act now. Go to ProSculpt.com today to schedule your free consultation. Get $250 off. For instant, permanent fat reduction and skin tightening, visit ProSculpt.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus, and we are about to get out of here, but not without answering a few of your questions for what I need to know. So get those in, 866-979-3776. What I need to know. With the big unit getting his number retired next year, says one listener. What was your favorite Randy Johnson, oh snap, moment? They said mine was seeing him come out of the pen in Game 5 of the 1995 ALDS against
That's
the
a good
Kings.
one. That's a good one. Yeah, they're blaring welcome to the jungle when he comes in. But I think maybe the biggest oh snap moment on a baseball field is when he exploded a bird during a spring training game. That
Probably most baseball fans would be like, well, that moment, I guess.
That was insane.
Just literal shock.
Yeah.
Less of like a cool and more of, oh my God.
Like, what do? You have to stop the game, right, to pick the carcass off the field. But yeah, he exploded a bird. And you know what? Of all the pitchers who could have done that, I'm glad it was him because he's obviously the most intimidating pitcher maybe ever. It just adds to his lore. In fact, the logo to his photography company that he's running is an upside down bird.
Do you think I could explode a bird if I threw a ball as hard as I could?
I don't think so.
What about a little bird?
I don't even think that
A little
could
sparrow,
happen.
like a robin.
A little hummingbird.
A little hummingbird. Do you think I could explode a hummingbird? Okay, you have no faith in me. That's fine. That's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm dropping it. I'm not taking it personally. I'm moving on. Okay. I'm not bitter. Why don't you read the next question, Curtis? I'm just kidding. I have
fine.
more.
Well,
I have some if you want. Let's see. What I need to know. Someone said, why aren't we seeing wooden bats in college baseball with all the money in college athletics? Cost can't be a factor, can it?
I mean, maybe, but it's just one of those things that they've done forever and ever and ever that they just continue to do it.
What would you give up to get Trey Hendrickson as a Seahawk? I should rephrase. Would you want to see the Seahawks trade for Trey Hendrickson? If you take price off the table for just a second, knowing it's going to be something you're uncomfortable with.
If that was the one piece away from maybe Super Bowl contention, yes. But I think the Seahawks are a little further away from that, and he doesn't address what I think is the Seahawks' biggest need on the defensive line in youth, because I believe he's 30 years old. So it's not like you're getting a piece for 3-4 years down the road. Trey Hendrickson's more of an immediate addition to a potential Super Bowl contender. So I just think the Seahawks are a little bit further away to be making moves like that. Eventually they will get there, but not anytime soon.
I forgot someone sent in a Mariners question for the roundtable that I promised to get to here. I'm going to get to it now. They said, I don't understand not calling up Ford to be the backup catcher. He would be both better on offense and defense and most likely a decent DH. I don't think Mitch Garver is providing much value. And if he's doing as well as the talking heads are saying, he'll have good trade value.
I think Mitch Garver is your backup catcher for the time being. I just don't think Harry Ford and his bat will develop the way the Mariners want it to if he's playing part-time. because Cal Raleigh is not moving at all. Like, he is your catcher, and he's your catcher most days. And Mitch Garver, at this point in the season, is catching maybe once a week, if that. Like, that's not enough for Harry Ford to be a factor in this season.
I also just am always hesitant. Well, Salk was talking about this. I threw him the same question, and he said he thinks it's more likely Ford gets traded before the deadline than that we see Ford before the deadline, which I understand the take. I think also we just kind of, this doesn't sound great because Young just had a walk-off, but I think we tend to assume the gap can be covered more quickly than it can with minor leaguers coming to the bigs, and we look at a guy who's like raking in AAA Tacoma and go, oh my God, this guy's got to be better than Garver, right? And at the end of the day, well, Garver has been a very underwhelming addition to the Mariners. He has experience. He's been there.
Yeah.
You know what he's going to look like. And there's still a level of, again, I'm by no means praising Garver, but like, I feel like sometimes we don't acknowledge the massive void, the massive gap between minor league pitching and what they're going to see here.
Exactly. And what you ask of your backup catcher is kind of what Mitch Garver has been doing. Yes, he is getting paid a lot more than a backup catcher would be, and that's what kind of stinks about this whole situation is that you brought in Mitch Garver to be more than what he is, but the role in what he's doing right now, I mean, that's just, it's kind of what you expect out of a backup catcher. Whereas, like, Harry Ford, you're going to want more from him. You're going to want him to be more than just a backup catcher. Now, maybe you run 3 catchers out there the way it was at the start of last season where you get DH reps for somebody, you have somebody catch, you have somebody on the bench. But, again, I don't think Cal's going to appreciate DHing more. I think he prefers to catch, and I think his numbers with the bat suggest that he prefers to catch as well. I think his OPS this season as a catcher is astronomically higher than what it is as a DH. So, it's not an easy fix if you bring up Harry Ford. It's not as easy as just removing Mitch Garver, putting Harry Ford in there.
Oh, by the way, news coming in during the segment, low-key news, good news. Congratulations to Cal Raleigh, AL Co-Player of the Week.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. I mean, you celebrate it, yes, but that was expected. Like, that was so expected. I want to know who had a week
He's
just
got to do
as
the
good
Cole
as
Young.
him.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm what?
I'm getting called up. Yes, Cole Young. Of course you're getting called up. You're mashing. You have 1,000 OPS this month in AAA.
Rays infielder Junior Caminero is the other, and he is, I just had a stat up here about him. The 21-year-old, this from running from the OPS, the 21-year-old Caminero had the highest rise in Fangraphs WAR over the last week in Major League Baseball. He was 11 for 29 with 8 extra base hits and 13 RBI.
Cal's better. Yeah. What a joke.
Yeah, let me know when you're over 400. You know, I'm not impressed with 379 anymore. I'm not impressed with it. Wyman and Bob coming up next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one, the only John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
June is Men's Health Month, and we want to place a special emphasis on prostate cancer awareness and treatment. It's important for men to communicate about issues relating to their health, especially family health history. Prostate cancer has been in the news, and right now I'm joined by Dr. Landis from the Swedish Cancer Institute. Dr. Landis, how common is prostate cancer?
Prostate cancer is very common. About 1 in 8 men will develop prostate cancer here in the U.S. That ends up being about 300,000 cases per year.
How can men test for prostate cancer?
Well, first thing, patients should ask to have PSA screening from their primary care doc. Anyone 50 or over, and if you have a family history starting at 45 is pretty typical.
If diagnosed, why should patients seek out Swedish CyberKnife for treatment?
What we hear from patients all the time is the treatment really was amazing. They didn't have to take time off of work. The side effects are really minimal, and there was minimal interruption in their lives.
Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight and you can't even throw an internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here again. Over the years, I've seen way too many timeshare exit companies pop up, take folks' money, and disappear. I just saw an ad from an exit company started by a couple of bozos that used to work for me. My advice, don't hire bozos I fire. Want out of your timeshare? I'll send you our free timeshare exit info kit explaining your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free kit. Call 800-995-2929. That's 800-995-2929.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Guys, want long-term health you can count on? It starts with knowing your numbers. This June, for Men's Health Month, Revive Seattle is offering a free comprehensive wellness panel, a $400 value, including testosterone, blood sugar, heart health, and more. Take control of your health today and stay strong for the long haul. Offer ends June 30th. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com today.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com,